The zone, 11.
Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
it comes to
Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Ags. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio.
Welcome back to TexAgs Stacked. I'm Billy Lucci.
Olin, Buchanan.
Make a mistake. We're not going anywhere. This is going to be a great program, and we're building it into a great program.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
I stand by what we do and how we do it.
Schools are like, we're freaking Texas A&M, man. Like,
That's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
You had no other option but one hand at that point.
Yeah, man, 50-50 ball, I got to come down with it.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Color me perplexed when I saw the tweet from Adam Schefter yesterday afternoon that said, PSA after his 4-touchdown performance Sunday, Dolphins rookie running back Devon Achane informed the team that moving forward he would like his name to be pronounced Devon Achane, not Achane, as is currently listed in the team's media guide. Achane. Welcome into TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. I'm David Nuño. He's Olin Buchanan. Or is it Olin Buchanan?
A lot of things. Reminds me, as a Cowboys fan, when Tony Dorsett came out of Pitt as a Heisman Trophy winner and told everyone his name was actually Dorsett.
Right.
But the odd thing about this is we had a video where he was asked while he was playing here directly, how do you pronounce your name? And he said, H-A.
Yeah, but I heard that because I heard it, and I could see how maybe could be like Achan. Like if you say it fast, Achan, it kind of sounds like Achan. Achan.
Well,
David Nuño.
You know what? He keeps playing like he's playing, and
you can call him whatever he wants.
Yeah, call him whatever. Just call him
Devo. I don't care.
Yeah,
touchdowns.
I always thought that people were going to miss the boat by not drafting him earlier.
Yeah. Gosh, I really think one more year it would have been great.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Great. But remember, I actually argued with.
He made the right choice.
I debated with Charean saying, I think the Chiefs should take him with their first pick at the end of the first round, and people are going to regret that.
Yep. You know one thing I've learned about you?
What?
Why we get along so well? You do a little Dion too. You keep receipts.
Oh, I just remember we talked about things I remember.
Yeah, your wins, you remember.
Oh, I will tell you about when I'm wrong too.
No, you're very good about that. But when you win, you know you won.
But you know what? I always say, did it take amazing insight or average eyesight to know that Devon Achane was a first-round talent?
No doubt about it. And look, I don't know if we're ever going to see
Achane,
sorry. I don't know if we're ever going to see a 70-point game where dude has 4 touchdowns, 200. I mean, probably. I don't know. But the way he has started, and remember, he was injured, and he was doing really well before he was injured. Wait
till they figure out to use him on a wheel route and with a linebacker trying to cover him. Remember, he had in that win over Alabama, he had like a 20, 30-yard catch on a wheel route. And I don't ever remember him ever going back to it. But, yeah, he's such a weapon.
He is such a weapon. Opie, this is a dumb question, but it's to spark some dialogue here, okay? Dumb because we know the answer to it.
All right.
How important is converting on third down?
Oh, it's huge. Huge.
Huge.
Huge.
You know that A&M offensively is, I say I don't know if you scour the stats like some of us do. I actually don't. I did this morning, though. A&M offensively is number 19 in the country at third down efficiency.
Yeah, it should be better.
49%.
Yeah, it should be better.
Pretty good, though.
Oh, it's good. It is good.
You know who's right behind them? Arkansas is 47.5%, 24 in the country. I'm going to follow that up with a very similar question that you know the answer to. How's A&M on third down defense?
Excellent. They've been excellent.
Number 2 in the country. 20.4% of the time teams convert on third down. Auburn came into it and they found real quickly, that offense. I remember we did the post-game show, and we were so disappointed with A&M losing to Auburn last year, thinking to myself, how did we lose to one of the worst offenses I've ever seen? And this year's offense was worse than last year's. I
disagree, but okay. I mean, they're in the same neighborhood. They're right. They're like adjoining trailers.
They were more effective last year than they were this year.
I just think that as bad as Peyton Thorne is, and he's bad.
Robbie Ashford's worse, dude.
I think he's Robbie Ashford's worse, right?
And there was a lot more Robbie Ashford last year than this year.
Yeah. So, I mean, but again, we're talking about, trying to pick out the 2 ugliest people in the room, right? Were you uglier last year than you are this year? For me, probably yes.
I'm not looking at you or Luke when you make that comment. All right, so let's when we think about Arkansas, the things that we think about, right? When we think about Arkansas, the things we think about, strong offensive line, although this year that hasn't been the case, but because of Sam Pittman, you think about that line.
Guard to guard, they're pretty good.
And then you think about KJ Jefferson, right?
KJ. Okay, KJ. He's good. He's really good. Lucci and I've always kind of had a little bit of a different opinion on KJ. We both agree he's really good. I think he's elite. I don't think Billy regards him quite as highly as I do, and that's fine. But man, he's a problem. He's a big problem.
Were you always a big KJ guy?
Well, not until I saw him start playing.
No, I know. I mean, not in 1994. No, I'm saying like since his time and Because I feel like
I think I got
2021
sold pretty quick on it though.
Yeah. And have you changed your opinion on other quarterbacks in the SEC?
I don't know. Because I never believed in Joe Milton, right?
Yep.
If anybody, I think maybe Jackson Dart, maybe, but I thought he's okay.
Jaden Daniels, maybe?
I still think
because he's having incredible numbers.
He's had two really good games. Maybe I got him in my Heisman ranking, so I guess I'd have to say for now I do.
Jaden Daniels, I think I read yesterday, he's on pace to have the second best season ever for a quarterback at LSU behind Joe Burrow, who obviously had the most amazing seasons. Now, a lot of football to be played, but. Do you remember what his numbers were against Florida State? I know he had a good first half. Obviously, the second half.
I could look it up for just.
You don't have to. I'm just asking out loud.
They were good. Of course, when you get overshadowed by the guy you're playing, that's a problem.
I got it right here, OB. You don't even have to, but it's what I do for you.
Thank you.
His numbers, and I asked a question, so thank you. Jaden Daniels, 22 of 37, 347 yards, and 1 touchdown versus Florida State. Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is with more film, you make more of a definitive opinion on these quarterbacks. And I think my admiration for KJ Jefferson has grown throughout the years. Jaden Daniels has as well. But as Billy said on the show yesterday, I believe right now KJ is 1-2 against Texas A&M with a chance to be 1-3 this upcoming weekend against Texas A&M. Because I think he did play his freshman year against them.
Did he? Because I thought he didn't play very much in that freshman year. But I forget what I had for lunch. So, but he's.
But you know where you're going for lunch this week, though.
Well, on Thursday. Yeah. But so I was thinking 1-1. But okay, he's 1-2. All right.
Well, at least being on the roster, right? He's
well, yeah, but I mean, if you can't. That's like saying that. Connor Wigman is, 3 and whatever.
Or like 4. Tim Tebow in the first championship, right?
Yeah. So, but okay, I still think he's a good quarterback, and hopefully he'll be 1-3 or 1-2 against A&M.
I think you're right.
Sunday.
I'm looking at his numbers in 2019, he only threw 31 passes. In 2020, he only threw 40 passes.
I can't remember who their starting quarterback was that year. He must not have been that good. 2020.
Felipe Franks
from Florida. Felipe Franks. Okay. Yeah, they got better when they moved KJ up. Yeah.
So he wasn't 1-2 from Billy. The guy from Florida started in 2020.
So 1-1.
Yeah.
And I remember he was having a huge day in the win, and then he got hurt, and they brought in Jalen Hornsby. And
Malik Hornsby?
Anyway, Hornsby.
Yeah.
Bruce Hornsby. I don't know. They made a big move, A&M, and almost had a chance to pull it out. And then, last year, fortunately, he made a bad mental mistake that helped A&M out a lot.
He did make a mistake. But he is a heady quarterback who's been sacked quite a bit. And I know you can't use the Auburn game as the barometer of what the season's going to look like because you have to look at more evidence than just one game. Mm-hmm. But he's been sacked 8 times the last 2 games.
Yeah. So A&M needs to get to him. And
if I tell you on Monday morning, without telling you the score, A&M got to KJ Jefferson 4 times, do you think that means they win? Still don't know, huh?
Still don't know.
No.
Still don't know. Because A&M's had the tendency to give up long touchdown passes to Arkansas. So if you sack him 4 times, but 3 times he beat you deep again, what is that going to tell you? I think.
And not just long through the air. Hasn't they hit a couple screens lately, too, in the last couple of games against Arkansas? I remember one specifically was it 2 years ago?
Probably. I think you're right.
I think it was Jaden Hazelwood.
Yeah, I remember somebody looked like one of the linebackers even pushed the guy toward the end zone. Yeah, I remember. Right. I think it was Hansford. And they're like, well, young man, the idea is to keep him from getting there, not help him.
Right.
Yeah, that was Yeah, that was a hard game to watch that year. A&M just did not look like they were interested, and it meant everything to Arkansas.
Yep. Hey, that voice you heard a moment ago,
Yeah.
that's a guy you haven't heard on this show very much.
That's the famous and yet also infamous Dalton Hughes.
Mainly infamous. What's
Dalton,
up,
good morning, buddy.
I don't even know if the camera works back here anymore. What's up?
Hey, man, tell me something.
It's Arkansas week. It's Fish Spur week. Beat the hell out of Arkansas. Me and Richard went, DFW kids, and it seems like everybody that couldn't get into A&M or Texas went to Arkansas. So there's a strong disdain for the Hogs.
I like the way you set that up there.
I wish my son would have, if he was going to go out of state, I wish he had gone to Arkansas.
Why is that?
They don't charge Texas kids out of state tuition.
That's right. I forgot about that.
It's all about the bottom line.
For me, it is.
They don't want to call him bottom line Buchanan.
That's right.
Bottom line, Buchanan.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can call or text 979-693-1150, 979-693-1150. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. That's where the Aggies gather, by the way, at the Angry Elephant.
With
Luke
Angry Evangelist.
Luke Evangelist, who wears his emotions on his sleeve. Is that how you phrase it? Yeah. Emotions on his sleeve. Hello, Luke.
Good morning, David. You talked about not using the Auburn game as a barometer. However, Auburn was not too bad on third down defense themselves. They came into the weekend 4th in the country when A&M was 2nd. And so A&M actually converted on offense 42% of their third downs against a really good third down defense. So looking forward to seeing what A&M does in winning third downs against Arkansas this week.
No, I think I meant it more defensively because A&M this season, outside of the Auburn game, has not really shown the ability to cause a lot of quarterback pressures. And in that game, they did.
Well, they did some things that they haven't been doing.
Yeah.
They started bringing pressure. I came to the conclusion, not that it's right or anything, but Chris Russell can be a very effective guy in pass defense, in pass rush.
Yeah.
I think he struggles in run defense, and that's okay because now you have Torrin York. But ask him to rush, and he may be a big player against Arkansas because if you'll go back last year, he was excellent against Arkansas last year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought, I've said it before, I thought he had the very best individual defensive game of the year was Chris Russell against Arkansas last year.
Luke, I know you got some other stuff for us.
Yeah, so I just talked about third down defense a little bit, but I'll go into that some more. A&M's defense forced 5 3-and-outs, and their 15 tackles for loss forced Auburn to lose 56 yards, and 7 sacks resulted in Auburn losing 26 yards. So Auburn's average third down distance to convert was 11.7 yards, and A&M's was 8, but we all remember that 3rd and 48, whatever that one was. So A&M is doing a great job against Auburn and against an SEC opponent at getting to the quarterback on early downs and forcing those longer third down conversions. And on third down, they were actually able to use just a 3-man front to get pressure and sit back within dropping 8. And Auburn was only 3 for 15 on third down. And I believe the stat was 60% of third downs, A&M only rushed 3.
I'm okay with that.
Well, as long as you get off the field, I am.
Look, whatever's going to be effective, that's how I roll. If it means one guy rushing, you're effective that way, fine. Just be effective, getting to the quarterback and effective defense. And look, I know a lot of people are looking at that Auburn game and saying, it's just Auburn. Heading into that game, there was some healthy fear out there because you just didn't know. A&M did what they had to do. And by the way, I know your very strong opinion about, championship level teams have to look a certain way. And you were exactly right. They're going to have to clean those things up. Do you feel like they've made any progress in that regard?
Not a lot because the same issues keep popping up. But I think why to me it's so important, and I was looking at the Auburn game through the scope of would that performance beat Arkansas? Will it beat Alabama? Will it beat Tennessee on the road? Will it beat LSU? Because that's what we're trying to do here is win championships. Yeah. So, but I look at this A&M team and I see so much individual talent, and it's as we've talked about, it's right out there. All these things that you've been waiting to accomplish since '98 championship, it's there. It's more attainable this year than it's ever been. So clean up those issues, and this could be a memorable year.
Yeah, it could be a memorable year. All right, let's hit a break here. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, OB, we're going to do our Apex Performance of the Week. We've already kind of hinted at one of them. We got some more to get into, right?
Yeah, could pick a few.
I got an idea for us. All right, I've already set this idea up, but let's give it a little bit more like substance to the idea. We have a big show to do from Arkansas, right, on Friday.
From Dallas.
From Dallas about Arkansas. Sorry, I keep making that mistake out loud. So we should probably really, really plan with a good meal, right? Because like when you break bread and you eat good rib tips, let's just say for an example,
it's spectacular.
Your ideas start coming out. It's like they talk about liquid courage.
Yeah,
this is more meat courage.
Oh, that's my favorite kind of courage, meat courage.
Yeah, you got a lot of meat courage.
I like meat. I like meat at Fargo's.
Yeah,
and you know what I like?
Tell me what you like, Obi.
Let me tell you among other things I like. But since we're talking about going over there on Thursday, I like the idea of devouring pork the week that you're going to hopefully devour the Arkansas Razorbacks. So,
wait. And on Thursday, they have pork.
They have a big, fat, beautiful pork chop. I don't mean fat as fatty. I mean fat as in big and thick. That's what I mean.
Hey now.
So that, and then you can throw some macaroni and cheese right next to it.
I might, when you're not looking, I know you've done this to Quinn before, right? When he doesn't look, you take a French fry. I might take some of your macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, you might draw back a nub. You might get a fork in your hand. But pork, big old pork chop, feast on that, and then go feast on the Razorbacks.
Go feast on the Razorbacks. Let's do that. They've been a part of this community for 22 years. Football weekends, office parties, weddings, anniversaries, funerals, you name it. Fargo, 1701 South Texas Avenue I'm sorry, I forgot.
In Bryant.
Okay. They're without a doubt the what?
The best barbecue in Texas, i.e. the best barbecue in the world.
They can say that because?
It's true.
It's their trademark,
It's true. It's their trademark because it's true.
It's Fargo's. Go check it out. Good song right here.
Yeah, you like Waylon Jennings?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
He's one of my favorites.
They call me Mr. Country Music.
Yeah, I just don't think that's the country they mean. I think
They mean like this is my.
Cuba's the country.
You know, I've never been to Cuba.
Really?
Never.
Is that Bad Bunny guy a Cuban?
No,
guy?
he's Puerto Rican.
Oh, well, that used to be its own country.
But that never been to Cuba.
Okay.
I'm 100% American.
Okay. All right.
At least my pride.
Yeah.
And my who I fight for.
Okay.
And who I root for.
All right.
You know. I don't know if I'll ever go to Cuba. To be honest with you, I hope I do one day. I hope the communism regime one day falls, and maybe the United States does what they do with Puerto Rico, and we can go be somewhere. My dream. I always talk about my dad with Heritage Films.
Right.
My dream. My dad's old, 93. My dream is to go to Cuba one day with my dad. And my mom as well, of course. Obviously, she's Cuban as well. That'd be my dream.
If you can't do that, you can always go to Miami. It's almost
That's the
same
closest thing. And you saw it. Did you not feel the Cuban vibe everywhere we went?
I wanted to smoke cigars and drink mojitos.
Buddy, Obi was looking around like, this is my kind of town. All right, TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. By the way, David Gardner's, they have a partner, Emily Huskin, who started the ring wraps after getting her Aggie ring in 2011. Her idea originated while attending her brother's Aggie ring day back in 2006. She felt inspired to add a unique flair to her ring, so she commissioned a custom-made set of diamond-encrusted bands to fit around her ring. She was hesitant to the idea of turning this into a business simply because she wanted to be the only girl with these special rings. Trusting it, all or nothing intuition, Emily began laying the foundation for her company. She filed 3 U.S. patents for it. And in 2018, Ring Wraps hired several in-house master jewelers and opened its doors to a beautiful showroom and jewelry workshop in Dallas in the World Trade Center. Company continues to grow each year. Ring Wraps is proud to offer superior, uncompromised fine jewelry that meets and exceeds her client's standards of perfection. The ring have natural diamonds, so make sure you go check it out. She'll be all around for Ring Day. Unfortunately, people are copying her brand, so you absolutely need to go with her. Don't let people copy her because
you don't want the knockoffs. You always want the
you don't
originals.
want the fake knockoffs. Like go with her. Go visit our friends there at David Gardner's Jewelers. All right, Olin. It is now time for the Apex Performance of the Week, presented by Apex Health. Feel like you're losing your edge? It could be low testosterone. Increase your energy, sharpen your focus, and boost your performance with a custom treatment plan for Apex Health. Learn more at apexhealthclinic.com. The Apex Health Clinic is owned and operated by a veteran serving the Brazos Valley. All right, Mr. Buchanan, I'll let you have the first one.
Well, I'm not going to take the low-hanging fruit.
Okay.
But guy that I've been really excited about the way he's playing because they needed him to be good is Edgerrin Cooper.
Let's go.
You know, the hog hunter went out there.
And he hog hunted.
Yeah, hopefully he will. But,
hopefully.
I mean, he warmed up. What do you have, like 8 tackles and 2 sacks?
I have it right here. 8 tackles, 5 solo, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss.
Edge Cooper. Man, that's an apex predator right there.
He is an apex predator.
Yeah.
Let's go Max Johnson.
Okay. No issue with that.
Max Johnson came in a difficult situation in a close game. It wasn't close when he took over. 7 of 11, 123 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 rushes for 15 yards, had that great scramble at one point. Max Johnson, really, you did not miss a beat. And in fact, you had your better offensive half when he was there for different reasons. I think some of it is the way Bobby Petrino did adjust it.
Yeah, sure, but he did his first 5 passes.
I did ask Jimbo about the adjustments at half, and he's like, it's not really necessarily adjustments. It's more about seeing things in the moment that you maybe are not seeing in the first half.
And then adjusting.
And adjusting to,
but
to
he
what you're not
completed his
seeing.
first 5 passes for 95 yards and 2 touchdowns. And that touchdown pass to Evan Stewart on both ends, that was picturesque.
Picturesque. I'm going to give you another one.
All right, give me another
Are you familiar with Mike Evans?
I am.
Now, the Bucs didn't have their best performance, but he's always on fire. 5 receptions, 60 yards, and 1 touchdown.
Man, what a good football player.
God, what a great
and he's,
football player.
8 years in or something? Still producing like
Great football player.
Great football player.
Hall of Fame football player.
Yes.
Donovan Wilson. I know it brings up a sore subject, but he had 4 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. Justin Matabuke, 4 tackles, 1 tackle for loss. And then the one that we are saving, the biggest performance of the weekend.
Achan?
Devon Achan.
Achan.
22 touches, 233 total yards, 4 touchdowns, 10.6 yards per touch.
And, he's going to have – I guarantee you he's going to have another 4-touchdown game before the season's over.
You guarantee it?
Yeah. He's just too explosive. Now, I want to throw out one more guy as an apex.
You could throw out as many guys as you want.
From the Texas A&M game.
Okay.
Le'Veon freaking Moss.
Oh.
Man, talk about – remember when they were early in the game, they had a 3rd and 1. He got hit in the backfield. It looks like they were going to be stopped. Yeah. And he spun out of that tackle just so strong and picked it up with a 6-yard gain. Should have been a 2-yard loss. He turned it to a 6-yard gain. 97 yards rushing. He showed that he can make the big play. What was a 36-yard run? 36-yard run. And then he showed that he can also get the really tough yardage. Yeah, Le'Veon Moss.
Le'Veon Moss, phenomenal. And I feel like you're seeing that 2 weeks in a row of his game kind of growing. It was a 36-yard play, by the way. 15 carries, 97 yards, 6.5 yards per carry. Amari Daniels did not have that many touches, but he had the biggest run, the 79-yarder, which was phenomenal.
And what about the Max Wright block on that?
Oh yeah.
Took out 2 guys.
I think Cole Kublik actually singled it out.
That's why I saw it.
Yeah. We don't necessarily see the blocks unless they're right there, but when you watch the replay of it, absolutely pops up there. So props to them. Look, I am not necessarily giving them major props, but the Texas Rangers, 6 out of their last 10 games, while other teams are falling.
Yeah, the Astros. Remember when I said the Rangers were a bunch of choking dogs?
No, the Astros have been the choking dogs.
Yeah, now the Astros are doing so. But the Rangers, now as a Rangers used to be fan and now, bandwagon fan. That's what I am. Because they let me down. So I fully expect them now to get into the playoffs.
They're going to win the division.
Well, maybe.
They're going to win the division.
You don't ever assume anything with the
Rangers. How many
Rangers.
games are left?
I think they have 6. You never assume anything with the Rangers.
Okay.
But that said, just getting in the playoffs is enough. I mean, I hope they win, but I really don't anticipate them doing much in the playoffs. But, hey, just to have a good year.
Have they won 6 in a row? Is that what I'm saying?
6 in a row. They're on a 16 winning streak.
Yeah. Look at that. Right when it matters. Good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. The end of the Astros dynasty?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know.
Haven't
they had
I think Richard Yale is not a dynasty.
I don't really follow them that closely. Don't they have a lot of injuries this year?
They've had injuries. Dusty Baker hasn't.
Why is everybody mad at Dusty Baker?
I think people have been mad at him, actually, even during the World Series.
So they've won 2 World Series under him, right?
One. They've won 1.
They've only won 1 with him? I thought they won 2.
With A.J. Hinch in 2017.
Well, did they go twice with
Dusty? They went twice.
Okay.
With Dusty.
So you got a manager that's got you a World Series championship and got you to the World Series, and you're still mad at him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Were you mad at Barry Switzer?
I hated Barry Switzer.
Well,
but Barry Switzer was like putting us. First of all,
that's how people look at Dusty. Is what I'm trying. Right. I love Dusty, great guy. And
were they winning champion? Because they did. They said you win. Okay. Yeah. When Switzer was like putting a sumo wrestler on Secretariat.
Look, I don't watch the Astros close enough to know. Honestly, I don't. I used to watch every single game, every pitch, but now I don't as much. But the lineup choices, some of the pitching choices, leaving relievers out there a little bit too long, all those things people have been complaining about for a couple years. Okay. But again, on social media, that's what people do. They complain.
Well, I don't watch it that closely. I'm just from the outside looking in and saying, man, his team's always really good.
He came in and in a very difficult time for the organization, and he got them a World Series championship.
Without cheating.
I don't remember them cheating in 2017. I don't remember that. I don't know. I know everybody else was. Anyway, and a gentleman on the YouTube chat says, can't wait for Aggie baseball. There you go.
Broniger has me kind of excited about A&M baseball. The way he keeps talking about this lineup and big old Lavalette and then the new kid from Stanford and putting those 2 guys together with some of the other guys that was around.
Yeah,
it could be a lot of runs scored this year.
Yeah, it's and as long as the pitching steps up, I think they'll be okay. Have
you heard some of these girls around here asking us to make sure Lavalette comes in more for interviews?
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, so can you do something to get Lavalette in here more?
Let's hit a break here. We're talking about the Association of Former Students. If your organization or business is looking for an opportunity to engage with Aggies, then you need to check out The Association of Former Students. Aggies of all ages get together during events throughout the year. Marquee events such as Aggie Ring Day. Hello, that's coming up. All Aggie Hullabaloo. The Gathering welcomes tens of thousands of guests. There are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities available to get your brand in front of attendees. All events offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote your brand. Options include the title sponsor naming, on-site presence and activation, recognition in social media posts, and much, much more. There are more advertising opportunities with the Texas Aggie Magazine and the Aggie News newsletter, which are seen by over 230,000 people. Is your business ready to engage with Aggies? Well, then choose a partner with the organization that's been supporting the Aggie Network for over 140 years. For more info and options available through the association, please email sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. I just read a text from Billy. He says, I can't read. Huskinson. I guess I said Huskin.
Who?
Earlier when I was doing the ring wrap. So apologies. My apologies. Huskinson. Anyways, TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner Jewelers.
Whatever the name is, that was an amazing idea because I see so many women with those.
Uh-huh.
It's like they want, it seems like they want the ring wrap more than the ring.
Do dudes get the ring wrap?
No.
Oh, okay. You sure?
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure. But
I don't know.
I've never seen a guy with one.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you can have whatever you want in this world. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. By the way, Rollo Insurance is the official insurance provider of TexAgs Radio. The difference is real. They're an independent insurance company built around educating you on exactly what you're paying for, doing the shopping for you so that you can accomplish all of your insurance goals. Their headquarters is on Highway 6 right here in College Station. Call 888-44-ROLLO or go to rolloinsurance.com.
If your hero Bad Bunny,
he's not my hero.
Okay.
My hero is more like David Goggins, Jocko Willink, my good friend.
If those guys were to if a guy like that was to come to A&M and get a ring, would they then do a ring rap?
Sure, why not? Yeah.
About the ring.
A rap. An R-A-P?
Yeah, about the ring.
Look at that old man joke.
That is an old man joke. I'm an old man.
Hey, I got to see Charean Williams this past weekend.
Isn't she amazing?
She's the best. Charean, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm good. How are you guys doing today?
We're over here just ranting before with you on hold. I apologize. The Pro Football Talk and the Hall of Famer with us, Charean Williams. Charean, great to see you on Saturday. Just we'll start it off with that. There's a lot of takeaways from this game. What was your big takeaway?
Well, defense played much better. I think Auburn's quarterbacks are terrible. If you have three quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks, and I think Auburn has no quarterbacks. So they held the ball forever, which led to a bunch of those sacks. But the defense obviously did play better, and I think that's the most encouraging thing out of this game is just the way the defense played. Much, much better performance. Now, they had some receivers open, and if they leave receivers open like they did on Saturday, it's going to be a long day this coming Saturday against Arkansas and next Saturday against Alabama. So we have to do a little bit better on that front. But, just a better defensive performance. That was my whole takeaway is they just look so much better on defense.
Well, you mentioned good and bad. So, Charean, how much of that game did you get more optimistic about the Aggies moving forward, or did it raise more questions for you about the Aggies moving forward?
Yeah, I don't know if it's more questions. I do think it was a better performance. They should have put them away in the first half, and it's close at halftime. And then obviously Max Johnson came out through those two touchdown passes. I think that was encouraging too to see Max play like he did because you feel like you have two quarterbacks, but you want to see some evidence of that. And I know we've seen it. I mean, we saw it when he played for LSU against A&M. We've seen some, but you just want to keep seeing it and have that faith that if, Wegman can't play, that Max is going to come in and play as well as he did, and he did. They didn't miss a beat. In fact, they played better offensively with him in there for those two series. And then there was some inconsistency as you move forward. They've got to play better. I mean, that's probably the worst team in the SEC they're going to play this year. So they've got to play a lot better this week if they want to beat Arkansas.
Talking to Charean Williams here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Charean, this game against Arkansas obviously is one of these games, and I kind of said it leading into the Auburn game, but really the importance of this one cannot be understated with what's ahead for A&M, and just for us to buy in. Your thoughts on the importance level of this Arkansas game, just for what we think the season could be?
Yeah, 10 on a scale of 10. I mean, you just absolutely have to win this game. No ifs, ands, and buts. I mean, I think Arkansas is a pretty good team, and if you beat them, you're back in the top 25, the momentum, the confidence, all those things that come with it. If you're sitting there at 4-1, it's just a huge difference than being 3-2 and 1-1 in the conference with the rest of the schedule that you face. I mean, it's just a must-win. So, yeah, 10 on a scale of 10, like you have to win this game, and you've dominated Arkansas since this series started in the SEC. You've dominated them. You need to do it one more time and get that win this week. And I think everyone feels pretty good about this team, including the team, if they can do that. And they can do that. It's just they've got to, cut out all the mistakes that they have and, pre-snap mistakes and calling timeouts out of a timeout, things like that. You got to stop some of that stuff. Those are mistakes that just dumb mistakes that you can't make against good teams, and this is one of those weeks. They can't afford those types of mistakes. Pre-snap penalties, all those sorts of things. You can't afford those this week.
Yeah, preaching to the choir, because I'm kind of like, when I watch the Cowboys and they get into the red zone, I keep thinking, is Dak Prescott going to throw an interception? When the Aggies start moving, they get close. I think, okay, who is it going to be? You could almost do it like a pool. Who is it going to be that's going to get the false start?
Yeah, and it's a problem. And it's penalties that shouldn't happen. I mean, there's no reason for those penalties to happen. You know, holding penalties are going to happen every once in a while. I get that. Pre-snap penalties, you control that. And so to me, there's no reason to have – I look at it – I've said this about Colorado. They are so well coached. You don't see those dumb mistakes by Colorado. They don't have those pre-snap penalties. They have NFL coaching, and the pre-snap penalties don't happen. This is a team that can't afford pre-snap penalties. They have a hard time overcoming 1st and 15 or 2nd and 15 or whatever it is. It's difficult for any team. But this is a team that just can't afford that. You can't have those pre-snap because those just drive me ballistic because there's no reason they should happen.
Talking to Charean Williams here. Charean, let's get into some Aggies in the NFL because you even tweeted at me a precursor of what to expect. So let's get into it.
Well, let me ask you first. The Dolphins running back, who was the running back for A&M, how do you guys pronounce his name?
Oh, it's Devon Achan.
A-Chain.
No, it's Achan.
It's A-Chain in my mind. But again, if he'd run like that, he can be anything he wants to be.
Yeah, well, and he told Dolphins riders it's Achan. Is that how you say? I think Achan. And he's changed the spelling of his first name. So I guess this is sort of the Heisman campaign. Heisman to Theismann and Dorset to Dorset, and all those sorts of things. So anyway, yes, there are two. First, though, I want to apologize to Justin Evans. I didn't even mention him last week, and I had him on my list. Justin Evans is playing great for the Eagles, and he had that stretch of 3 years when he didn't play, and then has come back, and now is an outstanding safety. Unfortunately, he got hurt on the second series last night, but a week ago he had a fumble recovery and a forced fumble. One of them happened on special teams and just played fantastic, and he should have been on my list last week, and he wasn't. But, yeah, there's two Aggies this week. That's all we're going to talk about because that's all we need to talk about. Myles Garrett had a little Aggie-on-Aggie crime. He just crushed Ryan Tannehill. 5 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 5 quarterback hits, 3 tackles for loss. And he passed there's an official sacks list and an unofficial sacks list because sacks didn't become official until 1982. So now he already was the official Brown sacks leader, but there was an unofficial list for sacks before 1982. He's now past that. So whatever list you want to use, Myles Garrett now the all-time sacks leader for the Cleveland Browns, 79, I think it is, which just is an amazing number for where he is in his career. And then Devon Achane or however he wants to pronounce it, 18 carries, 203 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 catches, 30 yards, 2 touchdowns, 70 points for the Dolphins, second most yards in a game in NFL history. I am amazed, though, that people don't know who he is, that people are amazed by what he's doing. You obviously didn't follow college football. You're amazed by what he did on Sunday. You just didn't follow it. You didn't see you didn't watch the Orange Bowl in 2020. You didn't see the LSU game last year. And for people who said he couldn't, he can't run up, he's too small to run in between the tackles, you didn't watch the LSU game last year. This was a repeat of that in the NFL. I don't think anyone at A&M is surprised by what he did on Sunday in the NFL. No one's surprised. And by the way, all that first-round draft pick, Bijan Robinson, he's going to be great. First round, he's awesome. He overshadowed our guy for however many years, 3 years. Guess what? He has 213 yards rushing in 3 games. Our guy had 203 in 1 game. That.
Yeah, I like that, Charean.
Yeah.
See what that guy can do with a passing game to help him and some pretty good blocking.
And an offensive line.
Amazing, isn't it?
Charean, awesome stuff as always. Thanks so much. Am I going to see you at Jerry World?
I'll be there.
All right. I
Of
love
course.
talking Cowboys with Charean.
We can talk some Aggies too, right?
I know, but when we get together in the press box, we always talk about the Cowboys.
Charean, talk to you
Yeah,
soon.
I noticed Olin conveniently didn't want to talk about the Cowboys. I can understand that.
Great stuff. Talk to you on Saturday.
See you guys.
Later. Charean Williams here on TexAgs Radio, as always, bringing some great insight. So appreciate her time. All right, let's hit a break here. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, Luke is going to throw us out some games. We got to figure out what the line's going to be.
Oh, okay.
Can we do
All
that?
All right. We'll do that.
Right now, we're talking about the Charge apparel. My buddies Travis and Tucker over there. They're Aggies. They're awesome. By the way, so they have a collaboration with Cullen Gillespie going on right now, and Cullen did a little video where he's saying, like, every time he wears one of their shirts, and you got to check out the shirts, guys. They're awesome. He gets a compliment. And he's like, man, I'm getting so Cullen's all in when it comes to the Charge apparel, and they got that new maroon polo. It is awesome out there. It's just such a great brand out there. You know, all the great things that they do there. But just let's start it off with the clothing. The clothing is great. They want to encourage people to pursue the Charge in their life. And they've got a couple of people who are highlighting that with Bryce Anderson, who put on a camp to inspire his hometown. Also, Henry Coleman's gotten some very good conversations going because of the Charges in his life, and he loves the Charge apparel. Just a couple of names to tell you about it. But they are just a great company with some great values out there. They donate 12% of their total sales to organizations to support U.S. veterans and mental health initiatives. They're made right here in the United States, and they are just awesome. That ode to the 12th man is to make the servicemen and women know how much they are valued out there. The fabric is great as well. Premier, lightweight, slightly tailored fit through the chest and arms, designed to make you look and feel your absolute best. It is thechargeapparel.com, the website, or find them on Instagram, The Charge Apparel, or on X, The Charge Brand. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations is right. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Luke Evangelist has got some games for us to figure out what the spread is going to be.
Yeah, we're going to try and get through every SEC game this weekend, and I've got a couple more mixed in. First off,
I still hear that feedback. Is there something touching your mic, bro?
I'm not doing anything. I'm talking normally.
All right, we'll figure it out. Go ahead.
Okay, number 22, Florida at Kentucky.
Oh, Kentucky's at home?
Yep.
I'd say Kentucky, although they haven't been that impressive. I'd still say Kentucky by 3.5.
I'm going to say Florida by 2.
Florida by 2.
It's Kentucky by 2.5.
Okay.
David, you were closer.
All right.
Number 8, USC at Colorado.
So if last week the spread was 20, I'm going to go 20.5.
Yeah, I'd say at Colorado.
Yep.
Okay, I'll say USC by.
USC by 20.5. Go ahead.
USC by 20.
It's 22.5.
Okay. All
and then number 13, LSU at number 20, Ole Miss.
Ooh. LSU by 6.
LSU by 10.
It's LSU by 3. They're giving Ole Miss a lot of credit.
Ole Miss, they had an opportunity. Like, by the way, this, and I'm going to speak about this later on in the show, speaks to A&M. Ole Miss had opportunities in the first half. I think they made 4 red zone trips. They scored on 2 of them. You've got to score when you get on in the red zone versus elite teams, and I still consider it Bama in the elite category, especially defensively. They had opportunities to make that a different game, and they didn't.
Yeah, so number 1, Georgia at Auburn is next.
I heard this one, so I think it was like 13.5 or something like that, which I think is ridiculous after what I saw from them this past weekend. Am I right? Is around that spread?
Yeah, it's 14.5.
Oh,
because I remember it coming up.
I'm taking Georgia.
Well, yeah. If I were making the line, I'd say 24.5 is what I would think.
That looks like a shutout to me. Maybe 3 points, for Auburn.
I just remember being shocked when I saw that. I was like, what? But I did see that one.
Next up, we've got number 12, Alabama at Mississippi State.
Ooh. Alabama by 20.
I was going to say Bama at Mississippi State, you said?
Yep.
Alabama by 9.5.
It's 14.5 for Alabama.
Okay.
And then we've got the College Game Day game for Mike Elko, number 11 Notre Dame at number 17 Duke.
It's kind of like rooting for A&M, right? Kind of. It's like when Haynes King plays.
Plus, you get to root against Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that they're going to take Duke by 2.
Tell me the spread again.
Well, you're guessing
Oh, sorry,
the
that's
spread.
spread. I'm sorry. Tell me where they're playing again.
At Duke.
At Duke.
At Duke. Notre Dame by 2.5.
It's Notre Dame by 5.5.
Really? Okay, I'm taking Duke in that one.
Yep. Real quick, South Carolina at number 21, Tennessee.
South Carolina at number 21, Tennessee. Tennessee by 6.5.
Tennessee by 5.
It's Tennessee by 12.
God, this week I was really good last week.
Yeah.
This week I'm terrible.
And then we've got number 23, Missouri at Vanderbilt.
Missouri by 10.5.
Missouri by 14.
It's Missouri by 13.5. Good one, OB.
Bless, I suck.
And then finally, Texas A&M versus Arkansas.
I actually don't know.
Already know it.
I actually don't know. I'm going to say 6.5.
A&M by 3.
It's 6.5.
Yeah.
David looked before, probably.
I really didn't look, but I figured. But I'm going to start looking now after that performance.
I'm going to hide them.
You know the internet works for everybody. We'll be back. Thanks, OB. Dalton, thanks for choosing your playlist. Very kind of you to put this on.
Yeah, you're welcome.
TexAgs Radio.
I'm not sure this was on my playlist.
Oh, it's not yours?
You know what I've noticed?
What have you noticed?
That I need to change. I sit upstairs, and Nick just yells back and forth at you guys.
Yeah.
Did you see what I just did there? How much easier is that?
Very kind approach, whispered in my ear. You're like, hey, David, could you please move a little to the right? More like a golf announcer.
Yeah,
big
Gary McCord fan back here.
Yeah.
Actually, he may have been canceled. I might not be able to say that.
Well, we love Nick. Nick's awesome. He's got a little, sometimes, anger in his voice. Maybe not in his heart, but in his voice.
I mean, I just don't see the point in yelling when you don't have to. This thing is set up correctly. You don't have to yell.
Your buddy.
I did scare Nick or Luke earlier by talking to him. He did not know what was going on. And that's when I kind of realized I don't think Nick ever does that.
No, he doesn't. But you have a guy that you might live with it from time to time that yells all the time when I say something. All the time.
He does love to yell.
He's a yeller. Anyway, we're waiting on Jamie McCoy. Hopefully we'll hear from him here in a moment. My buddy Philip Vargas texted me that he goes, you sure you didn't have coffee this morning? Are you in your window? Do I sound a little bit more excited than I have the last couple of days?
Well, maybe we're just, after a win, you're even more excited.
Well, yesterday, I didn't have my coffee till roughly right when the show was starting. Okay? This morning, I had my coffee at 5:15, and I'm still having it a little bit right now. For those who don't know, every once in a while, I like to delay the coffee, and there's some science behind it, yada, 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 whatever. But this morning, apparently, I was a little bit more energetic, and I didn't know I was coming across that way, but he said, yeah, absolutely, can tell.
Hey, you're coming off energetic. I'm coming off like a robot from the feedback.
Yeah, do you hear the feedback we're talking about?
No, I don't.
Dalton, you hear it, right?
Yes, David. I don't hear it.
Oh, okay. Well, I hear it, and people texted about it. So anyway, let's go back to that Angry Elephant News and Social Center and get some text messages in, shall we?
Yep. Real quick before I get a text message in, I do want to point out that A&M's defense is 7th in the country in forcing punts per game. Auburn's punter punted 8 times in their previous 3 games, and he punted 9 times just against A&M.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, interesting stat there for you. Brent, class of 04, wants some love from Myles Garrett. Do you remember have you seen that play on Twitter where the Titans kept sending 2 people in formation, kept sending 2 people to go block him, and it forced them to use a delay of game? Did you see that play, David?
I did not see that play.
Okay,
Tell me more.
It was pretty incredible. So I want you to imagine Myles Garrett running back and forth and just wasting time.
I love it.
He's just causing the offense to shift and match him. Can I get the camera on me so I can see? Okay.
There you go.
Wasting time and wasting time and wasting time.
Are you trying to make an analogy for Jamie McCoy coming on the show? What? Is that what you're trying to do?
That's crazy. Anyways, it was a great play. Really funny. And Brent, class of 04, wanted some recognition for that. He texted that in.
So I was actually talking to young Luke earlier today about overcommitting himself. This guy is super busy, right? School, he's got clubs, organizations, TexAgs. And I'm not saying that I'm at that level, but I felt that this weekend when I realized the first bit of NFL football I watched was last night. Because on Sunday, not that anybody cares about my schedule, but I usually like to watch some NFL football. Who doesn't, right? I didn't get to watch the Cowboys. I didn't get to watch the Texans. I didn't get to watch anything on Sunday. I wake up, I go to church. From church, I come straight here and I did some interviews. Then I did Luchador, then some interviews. Then I rushed to Houston for a soccer match for my boys. Then I rushed back for the A&M soccer game that I do the radio for. And then I got home and it was 10:30. I was like, I haven't watched any freaking NFL. Luke, as you continue on in your growth in this industry, make sure you make some time for you, buddy, okay?
Absolutely.
Hey, I did want to talk about a couple things here since we don't have Jamie yet, and we'll see if we do end up getting him. We will have Jamie Morrison here in studio shortly, so looking forward to talking to Jamie about all good things going on there. But a couple things that I did want to get into is where we are with A&M when it comes to monopolizing or taking advantage of big red zone opportunities, right? And just getting 7s over 3. So currently A&M is number 10 in the country at red zone opportunities and red zone scoring. They've been in the red zone 21 times this year and have scored on 20 of those times, missing on just 1 field goal. If you want last year as an indicator, they're actually pretty good in the red zone in 2022. They were 89% effective in 2022, which is a pretty good number. But this year, they've been on top of that. 6 of those times in the red zone, they have scored rushing touchdowns. 8 of those have been passing touchdowns, and 6 of those have been field goals. But when you take on the likes of Alabama here in a couple weeks, and I don't want to jump ahead of Arkansas, but I'm thinking of Alabama because, as I said earlier about the Ole Miss game, Ole Miss had their chances to make it a different game and how that game would play out. A&M has had that already this year on a couple different occasions. All right, so let's consider the Miami game. Miami game, you have a chance to go up 14-0. And when Evan doesn't get the extra yardage for that first down there, they have to settle on 3. So that's 10-0. Obviously, there's 4 points right there that, in my opinion, you left out there. Okay? Third quarter of that same game, you're down 21-17. A chance to get the lead, 3rd and 5 from the Miami 6. What happens on that? Well, you call a timeout. Oh, well, then you got the best play ever coming next, right? You call a timeout, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. You're going to call a timeout. You're going to have a great play. That is followed by a false start. So now your chances of converting that 3rd down are way less. You settle on 3 more points. You don't take that eventual lead. It is now 21-20. So that right there, just on those 2 opportunities, and I would say mental mistakes led to them, right? 8 points you left out on the field. Luke, I'm going to ask you, how many points did A&M lose by?
Against Miami?
Yes, sir. That's the only game they've lost.
That would be... Oh, yeah, you're right.
15.
15.
Do you still hear it, or is it gone?
It's gone. It's gone.
Cool.
Good.
It's incredible how many times I say, hey, guys, don't lay power over mic cables. And what do people continually do?
Well, Dalton, you've become management. You're not around anymore, so people have gotten lax.
I've told Nick. So how long has that been going on?
Oh, Nick's going to send you a scathing text message in 22 seconds. It's coming.
He's not listening.
Oh, yeah. His mom might be.
That's
be
fine.
careful.
I'll tell him.
Tell him, not her. Anyway. Hi, Mrs. Savage. Anyway, we're okay, so 15-point game, correct?
Correct.
All right, so let's consider that last possession. And by the way, if you have those 8 points, the game is played differently, right? Now you have a lead, right? As opposed to being down, you have a lead, right? So regardless of all that, you have an opportunity to have 8 extra points on the board. They lose by 15. If you take away 8 points, what does that lead, Nick?
Are we waiting for Nick to listen?
I'm sorry, Nick. Sorry, Luke. I was thinking about Nick.
Hold on. Give me 2 minutes. Nick will text in accordingly with the answer.
No, it's for you, Luke. It's for you.
Oh, okay. Wait. Okay. 15 minus 8. Carry the 1. 7.
7. How does that last drive now look?
Probably more important.
Well, I mean, they were both very important, but the way you play the game at the end of it changes, right? It absolutely changes. And the way you're leading up to that possession, by the way, changes. The way Miami plays that game is different. And let's not forget that there was the fumble when you're driving by Amari, unfortunately, that set up Miami the short side of the field. All I'm saying is when you are going to consistently be in one-score games, and that's going to happen, we saw it last year by every team in the SEC, even the ones that were good and bad, right? They're all, outside of Georgia, they were all in all these one-score games. You cannot make mistakes. So that's why where Olin went on his rant yesterday, the part that I agree with, although I was very happy with the victory over Auburn, the way they dominated that game, he absolutely has a point. You can't have these mental mistakes if you have championship aspirations, because not only is the margin so thin, the way the game is played is completely changed. You have those extra 8 points against Miami, it changes the way you play that game. This game against Auburn, couple opportunities to really change the way that game is looked at. Right? Now I know that when they started that one against Auburn, I don't believe they got into the red zone on that first drive. If I remember correctly, they got close, but they didn't get in the red zone. But you are up 3-0. You get close to the red zone, don't make it. The next drive, you get all the way to the 10-yard line, and unfortunately, you don't have mental mistakes. You just don't execute the way it should be. You have a couple incomplete passes. You settle on 3. Again, and you get to the red zone, you get 7 as opposed to 3. Now you're up 10-0 as opposed to 6-0 at the half. And then when Auburn gets the ball in the second half, when they're up 10-3, or when you're up potentially 10-3 in that scenario, you're not playing to potentially lose the lead. The game obviously played out great. The defense was phenomenal. But as the stakes continue to get higher, and I would say that Arkansas is a step above what we just saw in Auburn. And then I do believe that Alabama will be a step above Arkansas. And not that every game is going to have that kind of approach, but I do believe that. I still think Alabama is vulnerable. My opinions of them have not changed, but I don't think they're the team that took on South Florida. I think Jalen Milroe obviously is a significantly better option for them. But Ole Miss in that game, as I've mentioned now a couple times, 4 red zone opportunities in the first half, come away with 2 scores, right? And with Bama looming, you don't want that to happen. Not getting points will burn you. Not getting points because of mistakes at this level of the game is unacceptable. So you are in an opportunity to take advantage of that. And look, Arkansas can score now. We're going to talk to, I think, an insider a little bit later on in the program where we will examine, where they've been really good and where they haven't been good. But KJ Jefferson in a red zone, tackling that dude, opens everything else up. So conversely, you need to dominate in your opportunities there. And if the running game does continue to get better, and it has gotten better each performance, and I think Le'Veon Moss being back out there has made a huge difference. Look, beyond all that, you got to start getting some turnovers. We're talking about mental mistakes, but now if you keep starting, each week we have a checklist of things that you want to see. I wanted to see A&M this past week and get to the quarterback. Well, we saw that. I want to continue to see that. When the season started, I wanted to see A&M be a team that can stop the run. They've certainly done a very good job of that as opposed to last year. You got to start forcing some turnovers. Luke, remind me, how many turnovers have they forced this year? Is it 2?
I believe it's just 1.
2, I believe, because Miami had the fumble, and Tony Grimes had Josh DeBerry had the interception. So that's 2 only in 4 games. That is way too little. So those are 2 areas of concern the rest of the way that I have, because not that not scoring touchdowns is a trend, but again, the way you play these games, they've been really effective in the red zone getting some kind of points, and especially starting games getting points. But the bottom line is turning those opportunities into scores. Let's go back to that Angry Elephant News and Social Center. I'm sure you've got some stats, some texts, and also some chats on the YouTube page.
You know me too well, David. I've got a stat ready for you talking about red zone scoring percentage. Texas A&M in 2021, their red zone scoring percentage was 81.08. In 2022, it was top 25 with 89.19%. And through 4 games so far this year, it is 96.43%. So continuing to move up.
Yeah, they're moving up. But again, I want more of the 7s than the 3s. Look, there's a lot I want, but I don't think I'm asking for too much when a few of those opportunities have been mental mistakes. That is why you've gotten 3 and not 7.
Yep, William on the text line says he would be okay with a coach whose rule is no field goals before the 4th quarter. I think that would be pretty exciting, but I don't know how practical that would be.
I just want wins. So, if getting a field goal gets you a win, gets you a win. Look, this team, it depends on what play is called, right? And I have so much more faith in the offensive philosophy this year because I do believe it is a partnership between Jimbo and Bobby. It's not 100% Bobby. It's definitely not 100% Jimbo in the way the offense works. I think there's a meeting of the minds that they're, I don't want to say settling, but they have come up with the right formula that works for them. But 7 points is very important every time you get an opportunity for that. And if you continue to get in that, look, keep that 96%. What was it, 96% this year? Is
yes.
that what it is? Continue that. Please don't change that. Just want it to be more on the 7s than 3s. What else do we have there, Luke?
Yeah, well, that one miss was a missed field goal, so they don't have I guess that is a turnover technically, but still no true red zone turnover. So this team has done a lot better job at taking care of the ball inside the red zone. And I believe that was a 30-plus yarder that Randy Bond missed against Miami as their one time that they have not scored in the red zone.
Right. Okay. And by the way, Randy, you got to give him his props. I was looking through his numbers. I know he's 0-2 in field goals of 40 to 49 yards, but I believe he's 2 for 2 beyond that. Luke, if you want to look that up, I want to make sure I say that correctly on the air. But he had those couple of misses that were between 40 and 49 yards. But other than that, he's been dynamite, and he hasn't missed any extra points. He's been really good. Obviously, I need to knock on wood when I talk about stats. But he has been pretty darn good. Luke, were you able to get that?
Yeah, so he is that stat you said is true, about 50 yarders. He's currently 9 for 11 on the season, 22 for 28 in his career, and his field goal percentage is currently 4th best in program history.
There we go. Your word is your bond, Randy. Appreciate that. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, we will speak with Jamie Morrison. Good weekend. They split. We'll continue to talk about that and the direction that they're going. Right now, though, we're talking about Caprock Health System and their highly personalized emergency care out there at Caprock Hospital. Their patients benefit from a very unique one-on-one experience, and should your stay require you to be there a little bit longer than you expect, they're going to manage every element of your visit while you're there. Their medical team is going to get to know you and your individual needs because they have a very low patient to doctor-nurse ratio, right? And when you go to Caprock Hospital, first off, they have the most advanced CT scanner in the region. They can provide all the results and the readings that you need to get out there, and they're just going to be on top of everything that they do for you because they are patient-centered care. 100% locally owned and operated, putting the patient first in every decision that they make. Their sole purpose, to make you feel better. That's what they want you to do. When you go there, you want to feel better. 2 state-of-the-art facilities designed for patient healing and family friendliness. You got Caprock Hospital in Bryan and Caprock 24-hour emergency center in College Station. Both facilities have 0 wait time for emergency care, so you'll never have to sit in a crowded waiting room. It is Caprock Hospital in Bryan and Caprock 24-hour emergency center in College Station. And we're back. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Jamie Morrison in the house. Hello, sir. Hello. How are you doing, bud?
Doing great. Always a pleasure to be here.
So a week ago, I think we said it on air. We were both like, we got to be a little more social.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
And then on Friday, where did I see you? I see you at Century Square. It was
I
fun.
know. I popped into everybody there. It was hopping on Friday night.
You were I didn't miss all the people, but you were naming like, oh, this guy was here, this guy was there.
Yeah,
it was
I
great.
saw G over there. I saw you over there.
Yeah.
There were a couple of people walking up that have just been to our matches. It was awesome.
And then our intern, Jared, was on stage rocking the hits out there.
He was amazing.
He did a good job.
Yeah.
All right, so first off, how would you say the weekend went for you?
We talked a lot about just in terms of first time through the SEC and our program with kind of the way we're going to play, the style, the attitude. It's our first chance to kind of show that to our opponents and just put a stamp on this is what Texas A&M volleyball is going to be for the foreseeable future. So I thought we did a good job of that, actually, and obviously it ended up with a win and a loss. Mississippi State's a good volleyball team, and I thought we came out and kind of established, hey, this is who we are. And I didn't think they were able to adjust as the match went on, which was really good to see. And then we went out and we headed on the road for the first time, played a really, really good Arkansas team, now ranked 14th in the country. And I went in kind of just being curious of what I was going to see, not necessarily thinking about winning or losing. And I left the match disappointed that we lost because I think we had our chances, which is encouraging that I think we're capable of being a top 25 team right now. I think we're capable of beating Arkansas if we had another chance at them. And I'm excited about the crack we get at Florida tomorrow.
Hannah, who was covering it for us, made a little note for me that she thought you all looked locked in and dominant until you lost steam. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah. And I think right now, and again, I keep talking about this in private, and then I'll say it in public too, just what these athletes do is really, really hard. And there's something going on illness-wise going around Texas A&M, and there's a little bit of that, and then it's the middle of midterms. And there's just all of these stressors going on, and the fact that we were able to lock in during that match was a testament to kind of where we're going. And I thought just we lost kind of mental focus for little blips in the third and then in the fourth. I thought quite a bit, but the fact that we were able to do it for that long against a really good volleyball team is really encouraging.
What about Mississippi State? What beyond just the 3-0 sweep of it, what was the big takeaway from that one?
I think it's just that we're able to assert who we are on another team. And we're able to kind of hold on to that for an hour and a half. And again, the great teams are able to do that for 2.5 hours because that's what it takes. It takes a back and forth. And I always tell our team, like, you watch the national team and they're celebrating every single point like they just won the match, because that's what it is. It's a struggle of me against you, of asserting myself. And it might just be for that 35 seconds, but it's like, we're going to celebrate and then we're going to go do it again. And then we're going to go do it again. And the great teams are able to do that for 2.5 hours. The really good teams are able to do that for a month, and the great spectacular teams are able to do that for an entire season. But that's a muscle that we need to train, and we're getting there.
How important is it to establish this identity for when teams do come to read, they're like, oh, we know what we're getting ourselves into?
Yeah, I was actually just thinking about it this week, and we head on the road one more time and play Florida, then we get to come home and play in front of the 12th man again on Sunday. And I'm looking forward to playing at home, and I know other teams aren't saying that. And it's not even necessarily from the advantage. I do think we have an advantage, just that it's fun. That it's fun to put on a show in front of other people, in front of our fans, and we're looking forward to that. So I think establishing that identity also is really, really important to me. This is what it means to come to Reed, and this is what it means to play in front of the 12th man, and we're showing them what it's like.
Let's talk about some individual highlights from the weekend. Logan, 23 kills versus Arkansas, which was a season high.
Yeah. There were some matchups that kind of gave us an advantage over there, and we've talked in and night out. It's going to be different people's night, and that was her night. And she was pretty unstoppable. It was, I don't know, like, I had a couple eyebrows raised at some of the swings that she was making. So she's making some changes in the way she swings and range, and she's got a few more tools in her toolkit. So I don't think it's the last time you'll see that, but I'm sure the next time we play, it might be somebody else's night.
Well, and this is a note that was sent my way. Logan surpassed 500 kills for her career against Mississippi State. So just adding to what she's already doing.
No, adding to, her legend and lore here at Texas A&M, but 500 kills this quickly is pretty rare. And then I think we had another milestone the other night against Arkansas. Morgan Perkins, not all here at Texas A&M, but 150 blocks. So like I said, every weekend I feel like we're celebrating something, which is what we want to see. And
then something that I think needs to be illustrated is Afena leads the nation in blocks per set at 1.88.
Yeah, she's a force up there. And I keep thinking at some point that's going to come down, and I think we were playing Mississippi State actually, and it was actually funny. We looked up at the scoreboard and we're like, man, they're out blocking us. And all of a sudden, that third set, she popped off for 4 straight blocks in a row, and it's like, well, not anymore. But like I said at the beginning of the year, like I came back from U19s, and I was a little bit surprised at how good of a blocking team we are, and it's become a piece of our identity.
Is that something like you look up there and they're like, all right, look at these numbers right here. We've got to focus on this.
Yeah. We've talked about focusing on that middle scoreboard and getting a little competitive about it, about can we hold the opponent under 200 efficiency, and efficiency is the percentage of time they're killing the ball minus the percentage of time that either A, we're getting a block or they're hitting out of bounds. But we want to hold our opponents under 200. And that's a sense of pride for us. And if we can hit over 300 and do that, we're going to win a lot of volleyball matches.
Does it feel like the grind of SEC play is starting to, or it's still early enough?
No. Hats off to our team. I think, and hats off to our sports science department, our staff of kind of pinpointing, hey, these are the times to kind of take the foot off the pedal a little bit. Here's the time to put on. And again, this is a really kind of hard time right now, just with we played Sunday, Wednesday, and this quick turnaround to go to Florida again. I haven't even done the laundry that I'm going to pack to go on this next trip again, but I'm sure our players are in the same boat. So I think this little stretch is hard right in the middle of midterms. But our practice yesterday was we went shorter to kind of, again, sports science-wise, kind of understand like, hey, now is not the time to push, but we're going to push tonight. But man, they were fired up. We threw Jeff and I out there hitting some volleyballs. They were trying to stop us, and they were getting fired up. So they did stop us once. We won 3 times though. Just saying.
I'm fascinated by that because I love sports science and just how each coach maybe uses that information differently. Yeah. Do you get like a packet? Like, is it a conversation? How do you kind of digest that information, then apply it to the week?
Yeah, a little bit of both. So we upgraded to a Connexon system that both tracks vertical up and down accelerations and lateral. So we get kind of a metric that it measures output, like how much they're exerting themselves during a volleyball match. And then the second thing is, and this was one of the crazy things that I learned through all of my research, the thing that correlates most to athletes getting hurt is their perception of how tired they are. So we both do that every day, kind of asking, and then I'll do it organically sometimes by having them close their eyes and put up a number of kind of where they're at. But I think it's really important to pay attention to those, and then also on that, the stressors that come along with this. So school, life, all the things that come along with it. So we pay attention to all of those. We have a report that our sports science team sees, and kind of if something's flagged, they tell me. And then after every match, we get a report of like, hey, this is the exertion that these people had. And then I think the most important thing is once a week, just we sit down and talk about our most valued asset, and that's our athletes. And that's 360. So sports science, sports psychology, academics, everything, and kind of say, hey, this is what's going on, the complete picture of this athlete. Okay, let's move on to this one. And it paints a pretty good, clear picture of, hey, that's a follow-up conversation that needs to happen, or hey, we should lay off here. We have a pretty good idea going into the next week.
People don't realize mental fatigue plays a role in physical fatigue, right?
Huge. Yeah, those two systems are very, very interlinked. And again, like the crazy thing is like somebody's perception of how tired they are, so that also includes the mental side, will influence how they get hurt. So we pay attention to that.
All right, Florida coming up. Tough one. Just your thoughts on what they've been able to do and what you all have to do.
Yeah, number 4 team in the country. The heartbreaking injury to their setter that I coached for U18s 3 years back. That's one of the best human beings on the planet. So it's changed them a little bit. So they've had 2 kind of tough 5-set matches against Auburn, against Georgia. And they're figuring things out right now of how to adjust without, one of the best setters in the country, in my opinion. So excited, really, really, really good opponent, a bunch of good arms. Kennedy Martin, their opposite. I also coached with U18s, and I'm getting frustrated with all these kids that I've coached and made good as freshmen, and then all of a sudden I have to go play against them now. But really, really good volleyball team. But again, we played Arkansas, and just the way that we played for 3.5 sets, and some little blips in the third, like we get rid of the blips and we're able to sustain that for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I like our chances.
And I don't want to jump too far ahead because obviously this is a huge match coming up, but Missouri at home, let's pack Reed again.
Yeah, 100%. And again, like anybody that's listening that's been to our matches, just thank you. I'm trying to find different ways to do this. We were at Midnight Yell. I actually wished I could have grabbed a mic and thank the students, but there's just different people that are making up our audience, and it's really, really fun. And when I say I'm looking forward to getting home, it's not about sleeping in my bed. It's about playing in front of you. And if you haven't come, we're trying to create a really fun atmosphere. So I just encourage people to come out and check it out.
knocking on the door of the top 25. You receive votes the last 3 weeks. It's coming.
It's coming. It's going to take a win over one of those teams in the top 25. But again, just the growth I'm seeing mentally from our team and our ability to be in there and grind. I see us picking one of these top 25 teams off. Actually, I see us picking a lot of these top 25 teams off as we get further in the season.
Good luck, and we'll be watching, my man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Right now, we need caller number 1. We'll give you a free car wash from Aggie Express Car Wash in South College Station off of William D. Fitch in Greens Prairie. Aggie owned and operated with the friendliest staff and a personal touch. They offer a monthly membership. We'll give the first caller a free car wash right now from Aggie Express in South College Station. 979-693-1150. And we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Time for the KBTX Roundtable. Tyler Shaw, Daryl Bruffett. Hello, friends.
Hello. How's it going?
How are you guys doing?
Oh, we're doing well.
Hanging in there.
Yeah?
Starting SEC play.
It's my Monday.
It's your Monday.
Tyler's what, Wednesday? No, you're
that's
Friday.
my Friday.
Yeah, it's Friday.
During football season, we all work crazy hours, but I do remember not loving having the Monday, Tuesday shift off, other than when I got here and realized I got so much done on those days. I didn't have to take kids anywhere. Like I was just, I took them to school, but like during the day I got stuff to get done. On the weekends I don't. Do you get stuff done during the week?
I do, especially on Mondays I do because I'm
Yeah.
at home by myself. So I don't have Lori saying, hey, can you do this? Can you do that?
Right.
She does that on Sunday, and then I forget
You're
to
a
do it
free
on
man
Monday.
on Monday.
And you, same kind of deal? You get stuff off on those days? Or
Oh,
you
yeah.
get stuff
I
done?
mean, there are advantages when you got the, weekdays off because they're not, I guess, as busy as weekends, and you can get things done. So,
But that's not to say that I don't enjoy being around my wife.
Of
I wanna make
course.
sure
Of course.
put that one out.
You better say that out loud. Linebackers, guys, they've been a storyline all year long. Last year, they were a storyline for the wrong reason. This year, they've been fantastic. Tyler, you want to open us up?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've had so much, there's been so much trouble with the defense leading up to this game, but I think the linebackers have been the most consistent, and then they've really popped. When you get Torian York getting the freshman player of the week, and I think Edgerrin Cooper may have had an even better game than York did. So you got those two guys applying pressure to the quarterback, stopping the run game. When you got them firing on all cylinders like that, I mean, that's a tough defense.
Yeah, I think Edgerrin was a 10-minute replay overview. I still think that was a touchdown, but that's just me. If that counts, I think he ends up being your defensive player of the week. But yeah, I've been very impressed, and Tyler, I think we do need to give the accolades to David, who on our Aggie Game Day show called the fact that at least Edgerrin Cooper was going to be a difference maker in that ball game, and kudos to you, my friend.
Well, I did
You might know what you're talking about.
Well, sometimes. 95% of the time I'm wrong, but that 5% I got to tell people when I'm right, which is why I put it in the notes. Because I told you guys on that show, more than anything, I was like, I expect a big game from Tyreek Chappelle. I expect a big game from Edgerrin Cooper. And then they had that play that didn't count. So I was like, did I really get it right? Had the play counted, which I still – look, it has been explained to me many, many times. I still think it's a fumble. He made a football move. Tyreek caused the fumble. They picked it up and scored.
Well, that's the big question, right? What is a catch? That's the.
It's clearly a forward pass. You see the shadow. That's what people are saying. Like, I don't care. He made a play.
Yeah.
The thing I was most disappointed, well, not just that the play didn't matter, but that it took them so long to get it right, or at least to make their call.
Which is why they should have counted it, honestly, because you better have conclusive evidence, and they did not, in my opinion. So keep the call that was on the field.
So
anyway, Daryl, have you learned? Each game is a data point, right? We learned a lot in the Miami game. We've learned things since. What did you learn from the Auburn game?
I learned that A&M's running attack, there is something to that. I was impressed that they almost had, two guys over 100 yards. Now, I realized that, Amari Daniels got
all that up
98% of hits on that one run.
It counts.
And dadgummit, why didn't he finish it? It would have made the greatest highlight. Instead, it was, just a really good run. But, I mean, I've been impressed with the way that they've been able to run the football. I was impressed with the fact that, Anias didn't get very many looks in the first two ball games, but he has in the last two. I think that's been promising. I appreciated the fact that they have turned up the defensive heat. But I mean, and I'm not trying to be the negative Nelly or whatever, but I mean, ULM and Auburn, I don't know, man. I'm still wondering, how good is this defense? I don't know how good ULM and Auburn were to judge that. And of course, I'm not a football coach, so that's first off the bat.
But don't you think, if A&M has another
steps in the right direction, though?
Yeah, absolutely 100%. But if they have another pretty dominant defensive performance, I don't know if we'll still know, because at that point we'll be like, but it's just Arkansas.
Yeah.
But Arkansas might be really good, though. We don't know.
But here's the thing: is we could say that for a lot of this schedule because we don't really know a whole lot about the SEC West. I mean, even if now, granted, if they beat Alabama, you can't say, well, it's just Alabama. But then you could still say, well, it's not the Alabama we're used to.
Right.
And
Alabama's down.
and things like that. So, the SEC West is wide open. So, yeah, it was just Auburn, but there's something to it that, you're beating an SEC foe.
Now that Bama's figured out, it looks like they figured out their quarterback situation. Doesn't it feel like A&M has to beat them, not only for our feelings, but for them to be a 3-loss team, which would be catastrophic in Tuscaloosa? A&M's got to be that team that beats them, right? Because outside of A&M, who's it going to be? Is it LSU potentially?
Well, probably LSU, but I think A&M's right there, especially you look at the history, the past couple games. I mean, they almost beat them last year. They beat them 2 years ago. So that A&M-Alabama rivalry, I mean, it kind of has to – you're right. It has to be A&M.
It's got to be A&M.
When we saw that KBTX and CBS got the 2:30 A&M-Alabama game, which we looked at the schedule ahead of time and thought, even if both teams aren't that great, if you look at the schedule, I mean, that's the best. That's the best matchup. But yeah, we're thrilled to have that. And I would think that it being at Kyle Field, yeah, A&M should be the team that beats them.
Should be. And I think they should have won last year, regardless of Tuscaloosa or not. That last place still irks me. All right, just how good was Max? Daryl, start us off.
I thought that what was really weird was I did not see the injury that Connor had. We talk about, the 1-by-1 screen that I'm looking through. But the play that I guess that happened, the next play, I saw him kind of hobbling as he was taking the snap. It was an incomplete pass, and then I never ventured anywhere else to look. But then I'm on the sideline at A&M when they come out for the half, and I hear a lot of hustling, and because I didn't have any idea that Connor was out.
Right.
And all of a sudden, some guy says, "Hey, man, can you move out of the way? Max wants to drop back and pass more." And I thought, oh, okay. We have a quarterback change that's coming. I thought he did great. When he talked, the way he talked post-game, how he took command of the huddle, said, "We're not getting off the gas. We're going to keep moving forward. We're going to keep attacking." And the fact that, they put the ball in the end zone, and Connor wasn't able to do that. Not the dig on Connor, but just that, Max had that spark, and they had been able to figure out, I guess, offensively how to capitalize on the Auburn defense. And I thought that, the fact that there were no mistakes and they did what they did, I was very impressed.
He reminded me of the Max. Maybe I shouldn't bring this up, but he reminded me of the Max Johnson, that
LSU Max against
the
us?
LSU against A&M. That final drive where he led them to that game-winning touchdown. I mean, I keep saying, he looked like Tom Brady in that final drive, and he reminded me of that Max when he came in for the first time, which was impressive. Those 2 touchdown drives, completing his first 5 passes. So
that pass to Evan Stewart, you and I have talked about it.
Perfect.
That was very
that
impressive.
Was spot on.
I don't know if Connor Wakeman makes that pass. I mean, the guts that it took to place the ball right there in double coverage and just perfectly to Evans. I mean, that pass was amazing. Now,
and the concentration by Evan to finish it too, by the way.
Right.
Yeah, he took a shot, which I almost think could have been targeting.
I need to go back and watch it. I need to go back and watch that.
He did get rocked on that one. But now the thing is going to be, are we going to see the consistency from Max?
Yeah. So let me ask you guys this. Now that we know Connor's out for whatever, I know Jimbo says I think he's a day-to-day. But that being said, it feels like Max will be the guy a week, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6, whatever it may be. How does that change the way you look at A&M going into these games with Arkansas, with Bama? Does it change your optimism, or is it still game by game with this team?
I think it's still the same. Because I think Max is as capable of a backup quarterback as there is. I think this is, Jimbo's been saying it, he's in a great quarterback situation. But again, what Max are we going to see? Against Arkansas, I still feel really great. If you're talking Alabama, that one, maybe you'd feel a little bit more comfortable with Connor in that situation, especially because I was looking back at his games that he's played against Alabama before, which I guess is a positive because Max has that SEC experience, just has had great games against Alabama.
Well, let me just say this before you take over, Daryl. Zach Calzada beat Bama,
right,
and Haynes
almost
like just a better play, just a little better.
You're
play.
right. So it might not matter who's under center.
I mean, I think it matters, sure, but they have gone with backups and done well.
Yeah.
I think that Max has, and I think Max has more tools to utilize and throw to than maybe Zach Calzada did or Haynes King did. So I like Max. The thing that I worry about is what happens when they rip, Max's helmet off. I mean, we're looking at what? Jalen Henderson?
Or maybe Marcel Reed.
Okay, so, I mean, those guys haven't stepped on the field yet.
Yeah.
And yet their first games on the field are going to be in a pressure situation, most likely, in an SEC ball game. I mean, that kind of makes your heart skip a beat thinking, okay, I hope these guys are ready because, I mean, they are going to play. People go, well, I'm, fourth string. Okay, yeah, but you're, 2 plays away.
And I think that's...
or third string, you're 2 plays away.
I'm stealing this
My
from
Bearcat math.
Stealing this from Billy, but like Kellen Mond, how healthy he was through his time here, and what we have seen here at A&M the last few years, and really around the SEC, quarterbacks get hurt. I mean, Bryce Young missed time last year, but you look at, you got Haynes getting hurt against Colorado. You've got last year where Max breaks his hand, and then you've got Haynes later on getting hurt. Like Zach playing most of the season banged up like this, and now Connor going to miss some time. These guys have been getting beat up. The offensive line, who I thought looked better in this past game, still needs to be even better.
I think A&M fans kind of took advantage of what they had in Kellen Mond with the consistency and healthy, staying on the field, being the starter for 4 years, and now since he's left, we've seen that the quarterbacks be banged up, and that is going to be key is the offensive line, and I think that's still been a question mark, even though they have looked a little bit better. A lot of that too is Wigman is really good at escaping pressure and all that. So can Max, I guess, do that as well?
Max ran well when he ran, and he ran smart too, which I thought was very telling. He would dive maybe head first slide to make sure he maximized the yardage, but he wasn't doing it in a way in which he was giving a defensive guy a chance to take a free shot. So I think that Max seems to be, not that he wasn't smart before, but he's making very, very smart moves in my opinion.
But and some folks are joking on the chat, like, hey, you guys forget you're playing Arkansas this week, not Alabama. The truth is, I'm talking long term, like, because Arkansas, I look at Arkansas as a game A&M should win, but that secondary has not been tested since the Miami game.
Wait, you mean we don't have a game at Kyle Field on Saturday?
No.
Oh my gosh! Well, I need to read the chat more. Come on, guys, give us a benefit of the
But Arkansas can throw. You saw what they did against LSU, and that is certainly a concern of the way the DBs respond. But if you put pressure on the quarterback the way you did last game, now that becomes a lot easier of a job.
Well, you put pressure on the quarterback. What I would like to see is not only put pressure on the quarterback, but force some turnovers. And I think that's going to be key against Arkansas, especially when you look at this series and how close it's been. And it's been, you get last year got the oink doink. Everything has been down to one play. So the key against Arkansas, I think, is going to be the turnover margin. If you win that, I think you win the game. But we just haven't seen that, which I'm kind of surprised. Now, granted, we already talked about it. They should have had a turnover last week.
Well, let's do this. Let's hit a break. We'll come back with your big 3 observations, KBTX big 3 observations, that and more next on TexAgs Radio. All right, we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Hello to our friends on the CW8. KBTX friends are here with us. Daryl Bruffett, Tyler Shaw. All right, gentlemen, let's get into the KBTX big 3 takeaways. Daryl, you start us off. What are your 3 takeaways or observations heading into this game?
I like the fact that they are running the ball better. I also like the fact that Anais Smith is getting more looks. And I like the consistency of the kicking game. I mean, I know I hit those pretty quickly, but they haven't missed any field goals, I don't think, in the last 2 ball games. Hit a couple of 50-yarders.
Yeah.
Which I think that is, critical for Randy Bond's confidence and the confidence in the offense to know, hey, if we don't get it in and we need something from that kind of distance, he nailed it.
Yeah.
He's hit 2 of them. So, I mean, I think that's great. And Nick Constantino has been consistent. So I don't think you can not consider how well they have been operating in terms of special teams after the Miami game.
That Anais point you had, I think it's such a good point, too, because this is with the quarterbacks not having all of their tools, right? Noah's missed a couple of games. Evan missed a game. So the fact that you're showing, and Ja'Day Walker's had big games, right? Like there's a lot of tools that have been used, and when they're all together will be very dangerous.
I'm looking forward to Anais having a big game against Arkansas, though, because that was a game last year where he got hurt.
Yep.
That's true.
Yeah.
He needs a little redemption on that one.
Yeah.
So my big 3 takeaways. 1, A&M's quarterback situation is fine. You had a stud in Connor Wigman. I think you have a stud in Max Johnson. So I think they're fine as long as Max stays healthy. They're fine there. 2, the defensive line is very capable. Before the season, I thought that was one of the most complete, talented groups, and it was very disappointing to see the way they started this year.
Yep.
But to see the 7 sacks, to see them apply pressure, to see them control that line of scrimmage was very encouraging, and they're capable, and they can do that again. They can repeat that success, I believe. And then the third, kind of same with the running game. The running back by committee approach works for this team.
Okay.
Some days it's going to be Le'Veon Moss. Some days it's going to be Amari Daniels. And I think eventually you are going to see Reuben Owens being that feature back. But for now, kind of that by committee approach is going to work for this team.
All right, we got about 1 minute and 20 left. Somebody defensively who has caught your eye.
We already talked about Edger and Cooper. McKinley Jackson, I think, has been just a monster on the inside. And him getting that sack in on a couple of sacks was pretty big. And, yeah, he's been impressive to me.
Daryl?
I would say I'm going to go with the defensive line unit.
Okay.
The fact that they seem to be able to platoon in. And I thought it was funny what you and Morgan did on Saturday night when you're doing your highlights. He says almost like Oprah, you get a sack, and you get a sack, and you get a sack.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, the fact that they were able to kind of spread the wealth, and you can't just target, the left end or the right end. They're going to come at you from everywhere. And, being able to bring some blitzes from the secondary or, a linebacker blitz is also key.
I'll see you in Arlington here in a couple days, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very
My
much.
knees can't wait. I have to kneel there in the end zones.
Daryl Bruffett, Tyler Shaw. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate it.
When we come back on TexAgs Radio, Rashad Paul's going to join us all the way from Caldwell High School. We'll chit-chat with him here in a moment. That and more, it is TexAgs Radio. And we are back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. I'm looking at the YouTube chat. Have you seen this? Luke Evangelist at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center.
I'm seeing a lot of chatter.
People are like, the mics are on. I want to hear what they say. Don't tell them.
Wait, that's so funny. They're like having a secret conversation behind our backs.
Even though it's right in front of us.
Yeah.
It's good times. Yeah, we're having some issues, so we'll try to fix those here on TexAgs Radio. What I would appreciate is while we fix those issues, if you can text us on the hotline, 979-693-1150, 979-693-1150. And yes, I'll read the YouTube chat and the TexAgs chat as we try to fix what's going on behind the scenes. At some point, we hope to have Rashad Paul and Jimmy McCoy on the show and our Arkansas, the voice of Arkansas, joining us as well. But before we do that, we're going to try to get into some more of the stats. So our stats team kind of just breaks down the game, and they do like a lot of hours of work, a lot more hours than I expected. And thank you, gentlemen, for all the hard work you're doing out there. But I know there are some things that you have pulled out of that, Luke, at the Angry Elephant News and Social Center, extrapolated and looked ahead. So let's start off with some of those numbers.
Yeah, so what I'm going to focus on is points per drive. So we're going to start with the first half against Auburn and the second half against Auburn, and then we're going to look at last season and then the games this season. So first half, we know it was a struggle. 5 drives, 6 points, 3 3-and-outs. The drives averaged 5.6 plays, 20.2 yards, and 1.2 points per drive. And then in the second half with Max Johnson, 7 drives, 21 points, 0 3-and-outs, and the drives averaged 4.6 plays and 35.9 yards with 3 points per drive. And then looking at last season, the offense clearly struggled. The number that we hit was 1.73 points per drive. And so far this season, the worst offensive output was actually last game at 2.25 points per drive. And on the season, A&M is averaging 3.31 points per drive. So pretty much double the offensive output per drive what they were obtaining last year.
The offense is, well, there's the eyeball test, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And the offense is significantly better on more. The metrics are proving that. And you gave us a stat earlier. I don't remember it, but Auburn's defense, even though they haven't played amazing teams, who has, right? Their defense was not bad.
Correct. So the top 4 in third down conversion for defense, the third down conversion percentage was Utah, BYU, A&M, and Auburn going into last week, and now it's A&M and Utah at the top. So Auburn was operating at the same level, if not just a little bit below A&M's defense on third down.
Now, A&M has only played one offensive juggernaut,
Mm-hmm.
being Miami, and that game exposed some of A&M's issues. I remember after that game the way some people were speaking of it, and just like, maybe this has woken up this team and what they have to fix. Look, every game is a data point to get you a little bit closer to your end goal. You just got to win those games as you're getting better at those areas. And we have checked off certain lists as the season has gone on. We've checked off the stopping the run. I don't know if I'm ready to say we've checked off the quarterback pressures, right? But we have absolutely seen a marked improvement from the first 3 games to what we saw there against Auburn.
Yeah, we've definitely seen a more concerned effort with stopping the pass since allowing those 374 yards to Tyler Van Dyke. A&M has now held their last 2 opponents to under 100 passing yards. Auburn didn't even come close. They only got 56, and it was the second lowest passing output by an A&M opponent since they joined the conference in 2012. The lowest was 2015 when Vanderbilt only had 23 passing yards. So while the competition against the game prior to Auburn with ULM wasn't the best, A&M still did incredible in pass defense against an actual SEC opponent. Granted, Peyton Thorne may not be, and Robbie Ashford may be 2 of the worst quarterbacks they play in SEC competition. It was still good to see that defense hone in on that and really limit the pass and get pressure.
Couple things here. Sheriff ESQ. We're not as good of a team with Max. Connor Special, false solutions. I don't know if anybody is saying we're as good of a team without your quarterback 1. I think the way I have phrased it, and Luke, correct me if I'm wrong, is how does it change the way you look at these next couple of games and how winnable are they? And for the Arkansas perspective, my reasons for why I think A&M should be successful against Arkansas have more to do with everything. First off, I don't think the drop-off is that significant. Yeah, I think you're right. Connor is special, and we were saying that he was going to be the starter in January, right? So I understand your notion. That being said, what Max is able to do is pretty special too. His ball placement, his the way he reads defenses, the processing of information, those things. Now, over a 12-game season, I would much rather have Connor Wigman. I would. But what we saw, his processing, his ability to take over in that game, do you remember how many touchdowns he threw for last year?
I can get that number quickly.
And this year, did he throw for 2 in the last game? So 2.
Correct.
So, and he's still, very similar to Connor. The turnovers, very low. He's had 0 interceptions, right? And, yeah, Ruben had the big fumble. But when Max has been out there, they have protected the ball. When we talk about these abilities to win games because of the mistakes, so far Max Johnson has been a wizard with his touchdown to interception ratio as a member of Texas A&M. I believe he had 0 last year. Am I correct on that?
Correct. In his A&M career, he's got 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Yeah. And David B. says that blitz recognition is better with Max. I want to see Connor out there just as much as you guys. That guy has got, and I think Olin's the one who phrased this the best. You can win with Max. You win some games because of Connor, right? I go into this Arkansas game, which is the one right in front of you, and think your chances of winning are not diminished significantly with Max out there. And that's just kind of how I look at it. Look, there's a reason one guy was named the starter and the one guy wasn't. That all being said, there are certain things that Max does at an elite level that you have to recognize. And if defense is able to put pressure the way we saw in that last game against Auburn, I feel very comfortable thinking that they're going to be just fine. And that's the way I look at it. No doubt about that. That is the way I look at it.
I agree. Max not only has experience playing college football, but he's got SEC experience. I believe outside of Will Rogers, I can't think of another quarterback that has more SEC experience than Max Johnson. So, in last year, I think too many people are looking ahead to Alabama, Tennessee, South Carolina. We don't know how long Connor will be out, but for this game against Arkansas, I personally feel good because Max Johnson, with a lesser quality A&M team last year, beat an Arkansas team that I think did not get better over the offseason.
All right, just seen some notes from Dalton, so we're going to hit an early break. I think we're going to try to do 2 interviews in the next segment. I think that's the plan for right now. We're going to try to talk to Rashad Paul for a few minutes and then Jamie McCoy because I think we've gotten the powers restored here at TexAgs Radio. But right now, a moment for Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. The deals are there, the service is there, the people are there, the cars are there. Boom. There's your commercial. That's all you need to know, right? Good deals, good trade-in value, great customer service, great vehicles to choose from. All that is part of the reason you go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. But I think the biggest reason is you have good people, small-town dealership, making dreams come true for the Brazos Valley. And when I say dreams come true, is you see yourself in a certain kind of vehicle, they'll find it for you. They'll find the right price point for you. That's what they do there. And then when you need any, your tires rotated, service done, or you got some issues going on with your vehicle, you go to Caldwell Country Chevrolet to get that work done, and they'll do it at a high level. It is the place to go. Only about a 15-minute drive. We're talking about Brian Caldwell, short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the good people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell, online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. Hello. I'm doing up to the second right after the show. Then whatever you want. Yeah. Well, just so you know, the flounder is about to continue on because our soundboard's broken. So, no guest probably for this hour. And we can't take calls either, so it'll be it. Hot mic alert. Apparently, you could hear me during the break. That's all right. I didn't say anything crazy. I don't say anything. I'm actually not a crazy speaker. TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's talk to Rashad Paul, who has been so patient with us as we fix through some of our issues here. Rashad, what's up, man? How you doing? Rashad, good day to you, sir. You there, Rashad?
Yes, sir, I am.
Hey, man, sorry. We've had some issues here, as you can tell. You doing all right this morning?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Doing well, man. Let's get into it. What did you think? How are you feeling about things after you've seen some of the highs and lows so far, Rashad?
I think defensively, definitely improving kind of as each week goes on. I think the defensive line is just super dominant. I mean, those guys, especially that Auburn game, it was actually pretty fun to watch. Those guys was really pressuring the quarterback. But I think the secondary definitely improved. You know, got a couple coverage sacks. But overall, I think everything is kind of starting to click and fall in place for them.
Talking to Rashad Paul here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Let's talk about Max Johnson in particular. It's an interesting story because we know that Connor, at least I feel Connor is this level. The drop-off was not there. In fact, the offense, I don't want to say got better because of Max, but the offense was better in the second half after adjustments. Just what's your read of what you've seen from Max so far?
I thought he came in really well. He was super poised. You know, he's always someone that's going to use his legs if needed be. So, but I thought overall he came in. He was definitely ready to come in and play. And his time came, and he definitely performed, and he showed, you know, he's going to be ready whenever that opportunity presents itself.
We did a segment earlier on, look, A&M's really good in the red zone, but sometimes settling for threes because of mistakes. Just in your history in football, just the importance of that, like, especially when dumb mistakes lead to the reason you get 3 and not 7.
Yeah, I think it's something at this point in time I'm okay with, you know, as kind of we get later into that season and then we start to play the better teams. I think it's going to be really crucial that we do get those touchdowns. But I'm very much okay with, you know, settling for those 3 points to kicks and just kind of going from there. But it's something I think that kind of stalls drives, right, and confidence. So definitely want to get those touchdowns and kind of get that ball in the hands of the playmakers.
Got to get the ball in the hand of the playmakers. One of those is Aniyah Smith. Each week, different guy has taken like the mantle, right? You know, you have your Evan Stewart game, you have your Noah Thomas game, you have your Anais Smith game. Like it seems to be, and now Anais starting to get cooking out there. Just your thoughts on what you've seen from Anais.
Yes, and thing is, in Jimbo's offense, the slot guy is someone that's always going to be able to find his spot in the zones, right? So I think for Anais, it kind of started off kind of slow for him. Like the outside guys were getting all the touches, the touchdowns. But I think it's one of those things where that is a crucial part of the offense, as well as, that tight end position. So I think he's definitely going to continue to see more touches. And I think his role is just kind of go up because, they're having to put more attention on those outside guys, the Evan Stewarts and Noah Thompsons. And, Jade Walker, he's pretty good. I'm not going to lie. He's someone that surprised me. I had kind of heard about him throughout camp and his ability to make big catches and big plays. But the outside guys are definitely getting it done. So, those inside guys are going to see definitely more catches, more receptions.
Well, let's talk about Jade Walker in particular because he's big. He's fast, and like they really haven't had their complete arsenal, right? Like, I mean, I guess they did in the beginning, but you get Noah back potentially. You've got Evan who's going to do huge things. You've got Anais. We talked about that as a theory, right? Like we think this is going to be, and now that wide receiver room is living up to it. And by the way, Moose still hasn't had a huge game, and we know that's coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, in our last talk, this receiver group of talent is outstanding. And I think it's the best group on the field, I would say, along with that defensive line. And they have guys everywhere that's going to make plays. I mean, feed these guys the balls. Let's get some big plays kind of going down the field.
Talking to Rashad Paul here on TexAgs Radio. The defensive line was part of your comments earlier. Are you ready to buy in? Because before the Auburn game, they weren't getting to the quarterback. That Auburn game, they got to the quarterback.
I mean, they not only got to the quarterback, they dominated. I mean, the way they were getting off the ball. The quarterback didn't play really well for Auburn. They didn't have the best quarterback play overall. But I think those guys were kind of dominating up front. Fidel Diggs is phenomenal off the edge. Walter Nolan, in that nose position. These guys are definitely a great group. One of the best, in recent years for sure.
Yeah, no doubt about that. How has KJ Jefferson, the Arkansas quarterback, in your opinion, kind of evolved over these years?
He's definitely evolved as a leader. I think passing-wise, he's been pretty good for them this year as well. I think for us, it's going to be key to put some pressure on him, right? He's obviously been a great runner in the past, but I think, if we can get pressure on him, make him, throw some interceptions, kind of like he did in that LSU game. I think it's one that, we can come out on top with a victory, but we're definitely going to have to get to him and not let him play, his style of play.
Rashad, last thing for you. What is the key for this weekend? What are a couple things A&M has to do to get out of Jerry World with a victory?
I think for the offense, we're going to have to run the ball. That's for sure. Establish the run game. It's one thing that, LSU did. They were able to run the ball pretty well against them and get guys going. And I ultimately think our passing game, is going to be there. But I think if the O-line can dominate up front, it's a game that we definitely can, come out with the victory and come out on top.
Rashad, I appreciate your time, man. Thanks so much for joining us and rolling through some of these technical difficulties. Good luck at Caldwell this weekend.
All righty. I appreciate it, man. Talk to you later.
Take care, man. Rashad Paul here on TexAgs Radio. Bringing his analysis. In a moment, we will have Jamie McCoy on the program. I am checking out yes, I know the mic was on. I didn't realize it was on but I didn't say anything crazy. I just said, yeah, I'll meet you for lunch. All right? Got to meet my bookie for lunch. That's exactly the case. So I'm kidding. I don't have a bookie. Tony and Skidmore says, and I apologize for saying Max gives us the advantage moving forward because he's a veteran. When Connor gets back, he will take over and win us games. Like, this isn't a Max versus Connor conversation. This is, at least for me, it isn't about that. It is about you can win with Max with this team, and you can win at a high level. And he's an elite level quarterback who would start for a lot of teams in the SEC, and I think he'd start for Bama. Does he start at Arkansas? Probably not. No, but he would start at a lot of places. We're going back to the hotline. Our tight end, Jamie McCoy, joining us here on the program. Jamie, good morning, buddy.
Good morning. How you doing today?
I'm good, buddy. Thanks for joining us this morning. I know we had to shuffle around some things. We've had some issues on our side. I know you got busy. Let's start off with Jake Johnson's touchdown, all right? Like, you've been talking about his growth each game. And then to make that touchdown. And, oh, by the way, his brother delivered the pass to score that touchdown.
Man, that was awesome to see. One, like you said, it's great to see the tight ends getting involved, being able to put their hand in the pile. But I can speak from experience. Back in high school, I was quarterback, and I got to throw a couple of touchdown passes to my little brother Terrence. So seeing Max and Jake get to rekindle that and just put on for Texas A&M was a great thing to see, great sight to see, and I hope Jake's able to build on that moving forward.
Jamie, for you, when you threw that touchdown pass to your brother, who was it more important? For you, for him, for your family? Like that, to me, I'm just thinking from a dad's perspective, like your dad, like, that would be the most amazing thing to see.
Yeah, for me, I think it was more, as a big brother, it was more important. I felt like it was more important for him. I felt it more emotionally just because it's my little brother and, hey, I'm getting you involved and we're all celebrating and whatnot. But for the Johnsons, I feel like, one, it had to be a big deal for the family. Max not even knowing if he was going to suit or play in that game and having to step in and do the job that he did. And I know for Jake, he had to know I'm in the game. I'm already in the process. But, hey, here's my brother in here. I roll out. He hits me for one, and I seal the deal and get it in. So I think it had to be big for the family. It had to be big for them all. But I think the biggest was Max, for him having to come in and just help us out, not knowing that he was going to be playing.
Talking to Jamie McCoy here on TexAgs Radio. So you heard me before you came on the show. Some people are kind of comparing the Max situation to the Connor situation. I don't look at it that way, right? I look at Connor was your guy. He's going to be banged up for a little bit. Who knows how long? You got a guy that you can win a lot of football games, and I'm looking at each individual game, not the bulk of the time that Connor could be gone, but I'm looking at this game against Arkansas. I'm like, if you do the other areas that you should do, you can win not only with Max, but in some instances because of Max.
Yeah, Max is very capable. You got to remember 2 years ago, he beat a very good A&M team when he was playing for LSU. So when we were able to get him, with him transferring over, I always knew he had big potential. You know, he did what he had to last year before he got injured. And it just goes to it's a great thing to have a quality. No, you have
I think we've lost Jamie.
You just got to abort the mission and oh, can you hear me?
You're
Am I
back.
still there?
You're back. Yeah, we lost you for a little bit, but you're back.
Sorry about that. But yeah, like I was saying, it's got to be a good thing to know that once your main guy goes down, all isn't lost. Max is a very capable backup, and like you said, I heard you speaking before I came on that he's a capable starter in a lot of positions, on a lot of teams that you would put him on. His height is great. His ball, his throwing is great. I think it's going to be. I think it's just what we needed to like I said, not have to just throw the season away. I think we're still in good shape.
All right. So how concerned are you, though, with protecting Max? Because we've seen this story the last 3 years now. Starting quarterback go down for some time. And I know that is life in college football, but I feel like it plagues A&M recently more than other places. You saw it with Haynes year one. You saw it with both Max and Haynes year two. And I say year two since I've been here, I should say. Now you're seeing it with Connor. You've got to protect these guys because now what's behind are guys that have not stepped on the field this year.
Oh, yeah. You've got to be able – I think going into this now, like I said, if Max were to go down, hey, we'd be in trouble. So I think Jimbo and Petrino know that we've got to do some things and not allow other teams to dictate how they're going to get to our quarterback, whether that be three-step drop, more emphasis on the run game, getting him rolling out of the pocket so that he can see everything that's coming into his face. You got to do a little bit more of those things and mix it up. We can't just have him back there being a sitting duck and fall into the same scenario that Connor fell into, which I hated to see his injury happen.
Jamie, can two things be true? One of those being Auburn's really bad on offense, and A&M's defense maximized their opportunities and did some things we hadn't seen all year long.
Man, I think so. I think it's a little bit of both. You hit that on the head. Like I told you last week, I saw Auburn play that week 2, and I didn't pay attention to their third game, whoever it was that they played. They put up a lot of points, but from the little bit that I saw, I was like, man, I'm not too concerned with them as far as our defense. But what I did love to see was our defense actually doing some of the things that I mentioned, bringing some pressure. I know we had some guys come off the edge, some guys coming up the middle. Coop had a great game, and it's just something that you love to see. So moving forward, let's see if our defense can keep us in that position.
Well, you mentioned Coop in particular. That linebacker group as a group, like that. I mean, Chris and Torian and Edge, like these guys have really stepped. And in this past game, they stepped up. But it's been a season-long theme with that group.
Yeah, and it's going to have to continue to be a thing for us. We are going to need these guys big time, not only for the rest of this season, but in my opinion, great linebacker play is going to help us next year in recruiting. These guys, these high school kids that are watching these college games, they're wanting to see where they can fit in, where they can put their hand in the pile. And seeing our linebackers get a little bit more involved and make a few more plays, that's where you get these younger guys saying, hey, I feel like I can go out here and help these guys, as opposed to go sit behind somebody on another team that may be more stacked and well off. So I'm hoping that our linebackers can keep this play up, keep their level rising, and Durkin can keep continuing to mix up the scheme. I love seeing that we did something different. Granted, Auburn was not that good, but you got to be able to handle the opponent the way we did, and those guys look great.
I'm glad you touched on that, because it did feel different. It looked different. The presentation was different. The blitzing was a nice surprise. Like, we hadn't seen that kind of level in those kind of disguises.
Oh, yeah. We haven't seen it. And it's good to not only go out there and make a call and have these guys execute and get sacks and get pressure on the quarterback and make plays, but it's good to put that stuff on tape and have the next opponent worrying about what are you going to do? What are you going to bring? It can get a little stale if you're just sitting there backing up in coverage and only rushing 3 or rushing 4. So putting something on tape that other teams have to worry about is always a plus.
Talking to Jamie McCoy here. Jamie, last thing for you. Let's talk Arkansas specifically. Their defense gives up some points. KJ Jefferson, excellent quarterback, who has been sacked several times this year, 8 in the last couple of games. Just what are the keys to this one to ensure A&M comes away with another victory?
I think the keys in this are going to be aggressiveness. On defense, it's going to be aggressiveness, not letting them, like I said, dictate how they're going to air it out on us to run the ball. I'm hoping that we can apply pressure and not let KJ Jefferson get too comfortable. If you let him get comfortable, he can slice you up, whether it's running the ball or passing the ball. So I like to see him kind of off kilter and not knowing where the rush or whatever is coming from. Offensively, I think we're doing great with the running backs. Everybody seems to play their role well. Receivers keep doing what you do. Max, come in, lead the team. O-line, protect well. And I think this should be, I'm not going to say it's going to be a blowout game. This game always, for whatever reason, seems to go down to fourth quarter, who's got the ball last. I'm hoping that that's not the case, but I like to see a comfy win, like a 10, 14-point win. I think we're capable of that on offense and then especially on defense.
That is Jamie McCoy, former Texas A&M tight end, and, of course, played in the NFL. Jamie, thanks for your time, man. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Talk to you later, David. Have a good one.
Appreciate you. Giggle, buddy. Jamie McCoy here on the hotline. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, we're going to talk a little bit about Arkansas. Chuck Barrett, the voice of the Razorbacks, will be joining us. Plus, we'll get some other thoughts and analysis here throughout the rest of the show. But right now, we're talking Heritage Films. I love Chance McClain. I was texting him this morning. We have some mutual buddies that were popping up on social media, and we started going back and forth, and he started talking to me about year flicks. which is launching in October. I'm like, oh, snap. I've been telling our audience about it since August. He's like, that's fine. You know, if TexAgers call me and they want to do a year flicks, we'll do it early. Because, you know, we did one with my daughter, so I was like, all right, it's live. He's like, well, it's kind of live, but it's not live. So if you don't know what a year flicks is, it's a new product that Chance designed, which is more for the younger kids. So you know about Heritage Films, that they do documentaries about families, family businesses, family ranches, and these are like 2-hour-long documentaries, like legit, like real movies. I'm watching one on Oppenheimer right now, not the movie, the documentary on it. Like that kind of level of greatness, the music, the video, the pictures to back up the whole story. That's what he does with Heritage Films. But the Year Flicks is more of like a benchmark video, 20-minute kind of Q&As. You get to know people. You get, like we did one with Annalise, and they asked her a bunch of questions. I knew half the answers, half of them I didn't. And then we'll follow up that video here in a couple years and see like where she's grown and where she's going. So that is the beauty of Year Flicks. And Chance is just doing great work. You want to call him up, 713-893-8341, 713-893-8341. The website is yourheritagefilm.com, yourheritagefilm.com. Ask him about Year Flicks. Don't tell him it was me who told you, because then he'll be like, we haven't even launched this product. He'll probably know it's me, but just just call him. 713-893-8341. All right, we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's get to know Arkansas a little bit better. Chuck Barrett, the voice of the Razorbacks, joins us here on TexAgs Radio. Chuck, how are you, sir? Sorry.
Well, I'm doing well. Hope you guys are too. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. So, look, I've said this out loud, and I'm sure I sound like an idiot when I say it, but I just want your perception of it. How important is this game for Arkansas, considering where they are in the season, considering what's happened the last 2 weeks, considering what's ahead still in SEC schedule? I look at this game as a pivotal moment, even though there's only been one SEC game. Am I crazy for thinking that out loud?
No, I don't think you're crazy. I think it's a really important ball game. Arkansas lost a heartbreaker at LSU. They played well, but I do think that there was some belief restored. I'm not sure, frankly, that there was an abundance of belief after that BYU game, but I think that was restored after the LSU game. Arkansas and Texas A&M always seem to play good games in that stadium. It's hard to explain. I mean, there have been years when, the team that might not have been as good won, and that happens a lot in games like this. But yes, it is a very important game for Arkansas. You're right.
I keep my eye, obviously, on all the SEC teams. I haven't been able to watch all of Arkansas play, but I see the sack numbers. I've heard storylines about the offensive line not being what they're used to there. Is the offensive line getting better, and why has KJ gone down 8 times in the last 2 games?
Well, it was better against LSU. Part of that, LSU's pretty good. They get after the quarterback pretty well, and there were some sacks in that game. And I think the BYU game was the game that people probably look back and, say that shouldn't have happened. I think one thing that you have to think about with Arkansas is this. They're starting 2 first-year tackles, left and right side. Both of them are first-year starters. You had your captain out for the first ball game on the offensive line. You've got a center who played guard last year. You've got a guard who was on another team last year. So I think all of those things have led to maybe a longer process than what they were hoping for. Arkansas has not gotten quite as much push up front as I think that, you would be accustomed to them getting. And, they moved KJ around a lot more against LSU, and he did a lot more things on the move against LSU. And I would suspect that we'll continue to see that along the way. The offensive line is getting better. It is a work in progress, though.
Talking to Chuck Barrett here on TexAgs Radio. So early returns on Dan Enos is kind of evolving as the year goes on. Is that fair to say?
I think that's fair to say, yes. Coach Enos, Coach Pittman, very familiar with one another. They were both part of Brett Bielema's staff when he was here. And in fact, Dan was the OC and Coach Pittman was the offensive line coach then. So they go way back and they share a lot of the same philosophies. It's different. When you switch from an RPO offense into something different, there is a process that comes with that. They were a lot better offensively against LSU, and LSU's defense is good. They scored 31 points in that game. They weren't as good early in the red zone, and that probably hurt them later in the game. But they were a lot better offensively, and we'll see if they're able to continue to do that.
Talk to me about KJ's evolution as not only a leader, but as a quarterback, where his game has gotten better. Maybe the numbers this year aren't where they have been, at least early parts of last year, but just he's gotten better. Where has he gotten better?
Well, I think when you look at the way he throws what I would call the intermediate routes, he's improved a great deal at that. His footwork's improved a lot. His release points improved a lot. Now, I'm not a coach. So for me to sit here and say, watch him do this and look at the way he used to do that, I could reveal myself pretty quickly there as a non-coach. I do know that when you look at his command, when you look at his presence on the field and compare it now to where it was when he began his career, there really is no comparison. He's always thrown a deep ball, but, KJ, when you really look at the great games that he's played, and this is what makes him a great college quarterback, is he's got the ability to run. And, one of the things that made Arkansas better against LSU was it was really the first time in this season that they really cut him loose and let him run. I think Arkansas goes into every game right now, frankly, with the ideas, the game plan of how many times are we going to have to run KJ to win, and I think you go from there. And they needed to run him more against LSU. And I suspect as we move forward, we're going to continue to see that.
Talking to Chuck Barrett here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. So let's go to a point of KJ's career that I think he probably still thinks about, the game last year against A&M, an opportunity to put that game away, really. The fumble that ends up being a touchdown for Texas A&M, Damani Richardson taking it all the way. Does he talk about that? Is that a storyline? Is that a point of maybe growth for him because of what happened there?
Well, it was a play that changed the game. There's no doubt about that. I don't think as a player, though, and I've not been in his situation, obviously, but I can't imagine as a player that you let that linger. Now, does it motivate you? Is he thinking about this week, how he wants to play a great game against Texas A&M and what happened last year? Does that figure into his thought? I'm sure it does. But I don't know that that's a motivating factor for any other week other than this week. But I do think it's something that probably crosses his mind this week. Is it a storyline? I don't know. To my knowledge, he's not been made available to the media yet, so I don't know if he's going to have anything to say about that. But sure, people will talk about it. They talked about it last year.
Has there been a target that has emerged for KJ this year? Because, he's had some spectacular wide receivers this year, a lot of guys from the transfer portal. Has there been a guy that he's been going to a little bit more?
There's a couple of them. And I'll tell you, Andrew Armstrong from A&M Commerce has been a real find for the Razorbacks. He's caught more passes than anybody else. Big guy. Proof once again, they're good players at all levels. And he's come to Fayetteville and really carved out a niche in a hurry. They've got a really good freshman tight end named Luke Haas. If you look back at that LSU ball game, it was really kind of his coming out party. He's going to be an All-American. You're going to be talking about him as long as he's at Arkansas. Every team's got one or two players that everybody in the league knows their name. He's going to be one of those guys for Arkansas. He is he's a football player to the core. Played for any team in America. And he's emerging as much more of a target. But Armstrong's a guy that they really like. And I think he's going to have a chance to, help them the rest of the way. They need him to.
Was it a strategy or was it just chance that I'm looking at this wide receiver group? Our stats team put up some numbers: 6'4", 6'3", 6'4", 6'3", 6'6" Tyrone Broden. So there's some big dudes in that wide receiver room, including Luke Haas, the tight end.
I think that was an emphasis. I think it'd be fair to say, if you look to Arkansas really reconstructed their receiving core through the portal. Broden's a guy that caught his first touchdown pass against LSU. He caught 13 of them at Bowling Green. There's a kid named Isaac Teslov that transferred from a little school in Michigan. And the last 2 years he was there, he caught 113 passes. That's a lot of passes. And so he's come in and played well. But all of them are big guys. So, no, I don't think that's coincidence. I don't think it's by accident. I think at the end of last season, with some guys leaving, they felt like they needed to retool that room. And being a big target was part of it.
We don't get to see Sam Pittman, obviously, that often other than in interviews. He seems like such a great guy, and all the returns are, this is a guy you want to play for, a guy that you like being around. What makes Sam Pittman so uniquely Sam Pittman?
He's a ball coach. To the core. He's just a ball coach. And he's a lifer, and he lives it every day. The thing that Sam Pittman, if there's one, thing that he does that I think separates him from a lot of people is, I've always believed this: kids know when you care about them and when you don't. You can't fool them. You may think you can, but you can't. Pittman's a guy that when you're around him, you know that he genuinely cares. And I think his players know that he genuinely cares for them. I can tell you a lot of stories about Sam Pittman and involvement in kids' personal lives after they leave Arkansas, when they're in Arkansas. Anyone that's ever played for him will tell you that in their darkest moments, he'll be the first one to call. And he's got that aura about him. But now he's also an old he's an old school football coach. He's got the dip working. He'll use a little profanity out there. He'll get after you the way kind of your high school coach did, if you're old enough like me to remember. So he's very much got that quality about him.
Chuck, last thing for you. What do you think this game comes down to? What are some key points for both sides that you think it comes down to?
Well, Arkansas's got to have great quarterback play. KJ's the alpha and the omega. I mean, he is. He's the beginning and the end and everything in between for Arkansas. Arkansas goes as KJ goes. And I think Arkansas needs to improve defensively from where they were a week ago. We know about Bobby Petrino pretty well around here, and we have a lot of respect for what A&M's going to do offensively. And so Arkansas's defense is going to have to play well. I think it's going to be a close game. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of points. I'm not saying 40-40, but it wouldn't surprise me if we didn't have a Texas shootout before it was over.
Chuck, I appreciate your time. Hope to see you there at Jerry World.
Okay, can't wait. Thank you. Look forward to it.
Thank you, bud. Appreciate your time there. Chuck Barrett, the voice of the Razorbacks here on TexAgs Radio. All right, one thing I did want to say before we hit a break, we're going to come back with some stats for you, but B. Glow, one of the high school coaches in the area who loves to analyze games, sends me some really good notes, talked about how many times this past game against Auburn you saw some zone coverage. He actually sent me a snapshot of what beautiful zone coverage looks like when they're trying that crossing route at the top, and Torian York is sitting in his zone and comes down the hill on the line. Everyone looks open until the ball is thrown, and it was just a beautiful example of stuff we have not seen much of, and he pointed out a couple different examples. There were some examples that weren't so good out there, so a little bit more zone coverage this past week here, which I thought was very, very interesting. All right, we'll hit a break. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, Ethan Jones with his stats of the week. We'll get into that and more next on the show. Final segment here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Time for a little stats with Ethan Jones, part of our stats team who gets us some good information. Jason Williams today. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Again.
Oh, Jay Will, that's your guy. Let's talk a little bit about this Aggie defense because you found some numbers that really popped out at you with this game against Auburn. And why don't we start off with the 56 yards passing to Auburn?
Yeah, so A&M only allowed 56 passing yards to Auburn. This is the second lowest passing yards allowed to SEC team by A&M since they joined the SEC in 2012. So like a historically really good performance by this passing defense.
Absolutely. And that's following up what was one of their worst performances against TVD.
Yeah, in Miami, they allowed 374 yards to Tyler Van Dyke. But the last two games, Texas A&M has held their points to under 100 passing yards for 2 games in a row. And so that is the only 4th time that has happened while Texas A&M has been a member of the SEC. So really, once again, showing this is a historic performance by A&M while they've been part of the SEC.
Auburn had some issues on their offensive line, but in past games, A&M has not been able to get after the quarterback and tackles for loss and whatnot. And they had a lot of blitzing opportunities that showed up in this one.
Yeah, so this game they had 25 times they blitzed, which was 37% of their defensive plays. Miami only 14 times. That led to 22 tackles for loss and sacks combined, which is the most by SEC team this season. Before this game, Auburn only allowed 14 tackles for loss and 5 sacks total. So it's kind of crazy. A&M in this game outdid the all other 3 teams Auburn has faced this season.
I want to get into Max now for a moment because we went back and forth, Luke and I, on linebacker stuff. Let's talk about Max Johnson in particular, about his performance and go inside of those numbers.
Yeah, so it looks like Max will probably be starting for the Arkansas game. So we kind of want to look what he did. And he had one of the best games of his Texas A&M career. In one half, he had a 64% completion percentage, 138 total yards, 2 touchdowns, and that really beautiful 37-yard touchdown pass to Evan Stewart. This was definitely the best half of his Aggie career. In his 3 games he started, he only averaged 180 yards last year, 59% completion percentage, and 1 touchdown. So almost in one half, he did as good as he did in all his other starts in his A&M career.
It almost feels like just the handcuffs are off offensively, right?
Yeah.
And I hate to use that against last year's offense, but it just wasn't a good-looking offense overall, even when it looked good for the most part, other than A-Chain dominating LSU. All right, you've got a nugget for us when it comes to the Arkansas game.
Yeah, so Arkansas allows 5.5 tackles for loss, 62nd in the nation, and 2.75 sacks, 103rd in the nation per game. In P5 games, they allow 6 tackles for loss and 4 sacks. And so, Texas A&M took advantage of Auburn's weak offensive line. This looks like a weaker Arkansas offensive line. And Texas A&M averages 8.5 tackles for loss, 10th in the nation, 3.25 sacks per game, 18th of the nation. So this is a chance for A&M to take advantage of another weak offensive line. Hopefully they can.
So if they can take advantage of that weak offensive line, it gives some gamblers a little bit of credence saying, yeah, let's look for a double-digit win.
Yeah.
But you have to win the offense or the line, the trenches, which for A&M teams, that's every time they play.
Yeah,
right?
It's always the key in the SEC is winning the line of scrimmage, and it looks like, according to the stats, Arkansas has a weaker offensive line. This could be big time for A&M this weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Ethan.
Yes, sir.
Luke Evangelist, great job as always, buddy. Dalton, love you, man. Way to troubleshoot through some tough situations. Of course, our friends there at the mothership, Emily and Sean, great job as always. Tomorrow on TexAgs Radio, our buddy John Harris will be on the program. Love me some Johnny. We'll have Ryan Broniger on the program. We'll have a lot more for you. So be sure to tune in for that on The Zone or on YouTube, on TexAgs.com or the CW. That's going to do it for TexAgs Radio on a Tuesday. We'll see you mañana.